What is up, dudes, dudettes, and all my beautiful people of the interwebs? Bloody Knuckles here, aka the Gothic Gamer, and your resident anime king. It is Saturday, so you know what time it is. It is time to go beyond. Welcome to the Smash Podcast in the United States of Smash. I gotta say, tonight's show is gonna be our last one for a few weeks because if you can't tell, it's E3 hype. We're actually gonna be out there. I'll be out there. Of course, some of the Smash Podcasts gonna be out there. So you know we had to talk about what we love, and what is that? The Japanese subculture. So we're gonna be talking about some very specific news from the Japanese devs that will be represented out there. And to do that, I brought two very special guests onto my show. One is one of my favorite brand new friends here, another Japanese enthusiast who's very heavily involved in this, and a very special friend I met back at PAX South earlier this year. So, before we get started, let's go ahead and get those introductions out of the way. And let's start out with my friend, my favorite streamer. The dude is absolutely passionate about what he does. One of the most charitable guys I know, who's always doing a lot of charity streams and stuff like that. Give it up for my man Krypp Keeper. What's going on with you, Krypp?
Not much, man. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, man, it's great to have you on. Me and you've been talking about this for a minute since we started talking about having you come out and do something on the show. And I was like, you know what? What better time than right before E3, right?
I think it's a great opportunity. I've been waiting for it for a while. We've talked about it a couple times. It seems like our paths haven't quite crossed, and we finally got the chance to sit down and introduce me to your friends. And I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you out here, Crip, man. Like I said, it's been a hot minute, and I know we've been planning this. I'm just glad that we were finally able to work this out. So, yeah, definitely gonna enjoy having you out today. And now on to our other guest, my friend, one of the panel members off the Vitamin G podcast, another massive Japanese enthusiast who had a chance to challenge me for my crown, but that didn't go over so well. But I still love this man. I was like, it was a fun time. So give it up for my man, Creative Kofii. What's good with you, Kofii?
What's good, Bloody Knuckles, man? Thank you so much for having me on the panel. I'm very excited to just talk about Japanese devs, what they might be doing for E3. Generally, I'm a huge PlayStation gamer. I do own a Switch and PC, so I do play games in multiple spaces. On the Vitamin G podcast, I recently started doing translations for Famitsu articles. I'm really into just like Bloody. I'm into bringing Japanese game knowledge to Americans who are waiting for that localization, trying to figure out what their newest games would be like. So I'm just very excited to nerd out with you guys and talk as much as we can.
I know, man. Like I said, when I was on that show with y'all, the connection, the chemistry was just like perfect. I was like, I like this guy. I was like, me and him are gonna be along. Great.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, and just like you said, yeah, it's big on the Switch and the PlayStation and PC. That especially in the PC space, it's started to come out. Now we're starting to see the Japanese support on Xbox started to come back and stuff like that. So it's great to see just how big it's starting to come back the way that it should, right?
I'm excited for it, man, because Japan had a great relationship with Xbox just a few years ago. I mean, it was maybe 10 years ago, but there was some great JRPGs. We saw some things like Ninja Gaiden. So I'm hoping that comes back.
Oh yeah, definitely. And of course, guys, you know I gotta get to our panel of usual suspects, all these frauds on the panel, and I'm gonna start out with the young buck like me. Give it up to the man with no plan, and when he does, it always starts at Z. That's where I'm talking about the boy operation. What's good with your op?
Oh, what's up? What's up?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll mute myself real quick. Yeah,
Hey,
I'll struggle to get back here, man. It'll get a little while, but finally made it back, man. Glad to be back here talking these topics.
definitely, definitely. The boy's been doing work. He's been keeping up with a lot of stuff. So I was like, I can't give you too much hate right now.
Are you good, man? You good?
And then of course you know that we got the man who's named after a car because he is the driver for the crew. That's right. I'm talking about the Vegeta defender himself, Supra G. What's good with you, G?
Hey, everything's all fucking great, bro. I can't wait to get into these topics. Let's do it, man.
Oh,
Welcome guest.
yeah, I know, right? We all excited. So, guys, we have some quick news that we're going to hit up before we get started with our topics. And the first one that we're going to start off with is the fact of the announcement that the Ninokuni, if you don't know Ninokuni, it was a JRPG that was done by Bandai, was recently announced as getting a live action movie, and they just revealed the cast for a premiere date of August 23rd. Now, I'm excited to see what they're doing as they kind of showed the cast. You know, it's your usual Japanese actors. However, the fact that they're doing a live action film based on this franchise is actually really cool. Krypp, since you're one of our guests, have you played Nino Kuni at all, or have you heard of it?
I've heard of it a couple times. I haven't played it mostly because it's a title that doesn't seem to fit the motif of what the community enjoys, but it looks awesome. So since you kind of posted what the topics are going to be, I did my research on looking it up and just looking into the movie in general, the upcoming movie, and it looks like a ton of fun. I have very little experience with it, so I'm actually super excited to hear you guys kind of geek out about it and tell me why it's exciting and what kind of what your take is on taking this style of animation and translating it to uh, real life movie.
Oh, all right, that's a really interesting take, and the fact that you admitted that you don't know anything about it, and you're wanting to hear more about it from us. That's always great to see, and I love that having that variety right there of people who know things and don't is always great to see. So the fact that hearing us kind of talk about it and get interested has kind of helped build your interest in it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for those words there, Crip.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
All right. So Kofi, being my man, who I know you've played this game. What
So I own. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was say, what are your thoughts on this?
So I love the fact that they're making a movie of it, but I have an admission to make. I own both games, Ni no Kuni 1 and 2. I've only played one. I just number 2 fell into the backlog, so I don't know anything about Revenant Kingdom. Um, I love the first game. I love the battle system. I love level 5. I mean, I think they've made good games for a while now. Um, but I have not seen a lot of details on the movie. So I'm actually curious on what you guys might think of the cast that we know of so far.
Ah, okay, okay. Hey, trust me, the threat of the backlog is the worst, right? Let's be honest. The backlog struggles are absolutely real, and it's the worst. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
I'd be the
shoot.
best gamer in the world if it wasn't for my backlog.
Right, right, right. I would literally be able to say, yeah, I played every game. If some of these games weren't so long, or just like, I'll get back to that eventually. Oh, but hey, man, trust me, I understand. But yeah, all right. Well, I'll get to the rest of the panel's thoughts on the cast before I go into mine. Op, seeing as you've been helping out with picking this, what are your thoughts on the cast for Nino Kuni?
It's looking pretty solid so far. Unfortunately, I haven't played the game yet, so whenever I do get a chance, I will hit up that game as well. 'Cause I did hear a lot of good things about the game as well. It could be a good way to just get echelon, well, I guess not echelon, guess introduced into the IP, the franchise as well, see what's about. Looking good for 'em right now. Can't wait to see more about it.
All right, all right. That's what's up. That's what's up. G, what are your thoughts on it?
Man, I'm always up for a VG movie, bro. I just hope they do it well. Cast looks okay. Um, I think it was Krypp that said it. About the game. I have it. I haven't really dived into it, bro. I don't have time. The backlog is too massive, bro.
Oh yeah,
So I
that's
can't really speak on what the story's gonna be about or anything like that. But like I said, I'm always up for a VG game, VG movie, man. So just hopefully they do it right.
yeah, right, right. All right, all right, cool, cool. So yeah, so everyone's kind of touched on it just about right. But the fact is, with the announcement for the cast that they have, it's a really solid cast. Like I said, it's well known and a few small known Japanese actors. But the fact is, with Nino Kuni is one of those worlds. As you know, being a JRPG, it has world building, it has the lore, it has the establishment from both the first game to what they did with the second game in Revenant Kingdom. So I believe they said this is gonna kind of be its own story. So it's gonna be interesting because the fact that they try to recreate one of the stories, there's too much going on in those games for them to be able to replicate it into a 2 hour film. So them doing their own story in the world is their best approach. The cast that they have for it is absolutely solid. I'm looking forward to it. And you mentioned it right exactly earlier, Kofi. Ninokuni's battle system and the way that it works, it's a bit like you know, what was the game with where you can actually capture like Shin Megami Tensei. You can capture some monsters and have them help out, but the way that the battle system itself works is it has that traditional style turn-based feel, but it's still very quick pace. It's not. It doesn't take too long to do a lot of things, so it's always still moving. So I do love that aspect about Nino Kuni. It's just they have to capture that feel of the combat in the movie. That's always the biggest thing is are they able to recreate some of what makes the game itself interesting and fun? Are they able to do that well enough in a movie?
Completely agreed. I think I completely agree with your point about this being a unique story. I'm very happy they're not just rehashing either of the stories from the games. That's really smart. I just rewatched the trailer, and so I was looking at it and said, okay, I like this feel. Yeah, thumbs up for me so far.
All
I have
right.
a
I
quick
mean,
question, if I
rehashing
may.
stories. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. I'll ask after you because you might answer my question.
Oh man, rehashing stories ain't always the greatest thing though, bro. Because I mean, when they try to like do their own story and stray too away from the source material, it doesn't really come out that great, man. Look at that Assassin's Creed movie. I wasn't too crazy about that movie, bro.
You
That's a
know,
good
Sorry.
point. That movie
you,
was
you,
not
you
good.
know you know what the issue with the Assassin's Creed movie was, right? Is the fact of the that was an issue with writing because they had the world built, they had the feel of Assassin's Creed, explain the animus and everything. Everyone in it did phenomenal. It was literally just the writing. It was part of the story that was the issue. I was like, they had the concept there. They just lost that little bit extra that would have absolutely solidified it as a great movie.
Well, I just hope good things, like always.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, Krypp, what question did you have, my man?
Yeah, coming from a place where I don't have a relation to the game really whatsoever, I've never played it. If you could relate this to something in terms of how they've done previous art styles like this and translated them to a movie, in your opinion, what direction do you think they should take, right? Relating it to another topic or another title in the same kind of genre flip that they're doing? And how successful do you think they're going to be being able to do that?
Well, the fact is that you're going from a game that has a very manga anime esque aesthetic into something that's live action. So it's already going to be hard to kind of keep that same appeal. However, depending on how they do the colors of the costumes, they are able to keep the vibrancy of the world and everything that gives that artistic flair that the game is known for by and be able to recreate that. That's always an absolute possibility. But the biggest issue is the fact of are they going to be able to keep the story aspect? But with them actually doing a live action, this one wouldn't be too far from the source material if they're able to one have a story that makes sense in the world that it's coming from, as well as being able to not go too far off of its own that it doesn't make sense in the same world at the same time.
Yeah.
Hopefully that
I like
helps.
that. Yeah. It's always so confusing when you take stories, especially. So I'm coming from a place of if I was to watch this movie, which I'm sure I will at this point now, I'm coming from a place where I don't know the background information and I need to be told a cohesive story without any kind of previous knowledge, right? Like you see that so often that it's kind of catered toward fans that are already fans of a certain topic. And as a fan of most of the things like comic book movies or most animes that get turned into live actions, I obviously have a good background of that source material. So it's a little hard for me to say, but I'm actually on the other side of the fence this time, which is a rare occurrence where I don't know the source material. I don't know anything like that. And it seems like sometimes when you convert things, you try to tell a story into live action from an anime and you have all of these episodes you're able to tell a story over, you lose kind of the context of what was behind it in the first place. And you're told a story that's kind of half a story. And hopefully that's not going to be the case. If that makes sense, you see that in, I think Death Note is a good example for me. I thought it lost kind of its really strong appeal because the story wasn't told fully, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where I say like it's a
That's
gift
a
and a
really
curse,
good
bro.
opinion.
Because like when you know the source material and they stray away from it, you kind of feel some type of way about it. But then whenever it's like trying to reach a new audience or just trying to put a movie out to reach a new audience and also try to cater to the people that know about it, it's like it's a like a rough thing to like try to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
it's
of
very
course they want to.
tricky.
Of course they don't only want to just like reach their fans, but they also want to try to like reach some of the casuals of this particular movie. That they see and they they're interested in it, so they want to try to reach them too. That's why I say like man like and I use Assassin's Creed because they tried to do it to where like it'd be like this badass action movie and it'll catch like even people that aren't fans of the game, you know. So that's why I say like it's just a tricky thing. I just hope they do it right.
And really quick, I have a question about for Assassin's Creed. Did that take place from the perspective of Ezio? I never watched the movie.
No,
No.
it was a
No.
freaking new character.
Oh,
It's crazy, bro.
okay.
And I'm a Michael Fassbender like huge fan, bro. So that's why I was already sold on the movie, and then I love Assassin's Creed. But then that movie like it did some things right. Don't get me wrong, but it did
Yeah.
so many things wrong, bro.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Because I was going to make that argument for Ninokuni. It seems they have a whole new cast of characters, but
Yeah.
I mean they can mess it up. One thing I did want to say is I get maybe you
And
guys disagree.
the messing up comes from when they try to like make it like for the casuals. You know what I'm saying? Because like with the Assassin's Creed, like you should like how he goes into the animus. It's so different, bro. And it's just like, what the hell is this? Like, because we're so used to seeing it, you know, a particular type of way that
Yeah.
we're accustomed to, and they try to do this other way to make it like more believable to the people that haven't played the game, so they don't understand how the animus works. And to me,
Right.
that didn't go over so well.
Do you trust Studio Ghibli since they are also behind the game? It's the
I
same
trust
type of
Studio Ghibli
mindset.
all day, bro. I love their
Yeah.
work. It's still the way they have to like try to like pull it over for the fans, bro, and then
Yeah,
also try to touch another audience.
true that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times for me, the biggest mistake is and I'm obviously by no means a producer or a director, but I do think that there's one thing that's very telling being a lifetime gamer and somebody that also loves movies, entertaining movies that aren't that are story based is I think that going into these movies kind of representing if you're either taking an anime or you're taking a game and turning it into a movie, if you're going to do these things, when you started making the game and you started making the anime, you had a story to tell and you had a purpose to try to engage people. You needed these people to come to your show or your game and say, "This is brilliant. I'm never going to leave this." And I think a lot of the times when you take them and make them movies, you assume there's already people waiting for them, and you get lazy on kind of like going all out to capture them again. And I think if
Yeah.
you just take this game or you take this movie from this game and you, in essence, tell a story that mimics the success that the game had, you're going to
Krypp, I think your mic cut out for a second.
Yeah.
He,
He dropped.
I thought I was the only one that didn't hear him anymore.
Yeah, no, I think his mic dropped out for a second.
capture and I think that it gets so lost in movies. They write stories that I feel like they assume half the people want to see because they already know, then the other half don't have any idea, and they lose that drive to completely just make everybody love what it was originally.
Yeah.
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 And you know what? You bring up a good point, especially with the fact that you were talking about how you saw the DN film and how that kind of left you because of the fact that you know the story of Death Note, and then the live action didn't do it justice. And as you brought up too, with trying to do an original
Which
story,
hold on, which live action are you talking about though? Live action like
Yeah, I
the
was just about to ask
Americanized
that.
one or the OG? Because the OG I thought was pretty dope.
the new one, but yeah, the OG,
Oh, the
but
new one
that
was
but
trash.
The
yeah yeah
Netflix one, right?
yeah yeah,
Oh my
that's
gosh,
that's what I was gonna kind of allude to is
so
the
much,
fact of
bro.
that it when you try to do when it comes to doing live action, especially for us who are passionate about these series and have the knowledge about it, we know the stories more in depth about what's going on than what a lot of others see. So we want to see something more explained. If you look at the live action of say Tokyo Ghoul, right? Me and you talked about that at Lynch G because we saw the live action for Tokyo Ghoul. That was good because of the fact that they didn't try to do too much of the story to where it felt like it was rushed too much. They presented the information right. They stayed true to and accurate to what it made and had the visual flair. But yes, the changes they made were understandable for the film, but there was still enough to
And
gain a
there
new
weren't no
audience.
big drastic changes at that either, bro.
Exactly.
It was like
Exactly.
they were betting on like that pure fans were gonna watch it, bro, and kind of understand it, and then change it a little bit for like I say, all this the casuals who don't
And that
understand the source material. But they did a good job with it.
exactly, and that was an adaptation that was enjoyable for people who knew it. Like me and one of my friends went to go see it. We knew Tokyo Ghoul in and out, so we understood everything that was going on and recognized the changes. But our other friend who was with us had never seen Tokyo Ghoul, and he loved what he saw and went and out and actually was able to watch the series and say, "Oh, I know where that's from now." So you kind of
Hey,
get
the
that.
same thing happened with my girl. I took her to see it with me, and she didn't know what the hell Tokyo Ghoul was. She thought it was gonna be some zombie movie, bro. So like, I told her to just check it out. She watched it, and then after that, it made her want to watch the show, bro. And she liked it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
like,
So understanding where you're coming from, Krypp, not having that knowledge will kind of help in this aspect because of the fact that you get to experience a new story in the world and kind of see how it is. But it also depends on if that world makes sense for the hardcore fan on the other side on should this story exist within this universe. That's always where where that towing the line between enough for the hardcore fans as well as getting that new audience who don't know is always the big balancing act that a lot of these films have to really encompass.
exactly.
Totally. In
And
my opinion, I don't think
let's
you
just
have
hope
to
they don't
cater
ruin
to the fans. I don't. I think shows like the movie, the Broly movie, to use Dragon Ball to be example. I don't know your opinion, but I think the story isn't crazy drawn out and massively expansive, right? The story is fairly basic.
Yeah.
They
Oh
explain
yeah,
how all of these characters get to the places they get. They have a reasonable way to meet up, and then there's the action that's fulfilling. They didn't go out of their way to tell this kind of like, oh my god, we got to cater to old fans and generate this brand new story that's super expansive with all this new information that is canon. They
Yeah.
just told a very basic story in a way that if you had never heard about Dragon Ball before and you watch this movie, you'd be like, holy crap, what am I missing here? And and people that love Dragon Ball were like, this is fun. This is amazing. These are cool to see these characters do these things. It doesn't have to be insane. It just has to be smart and teach me about what these characters are. That's all it has to be.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
Assassin's Creed, you guys keep saying it, it's a perfect example of like, if I never knew Assassin's Creed and I sat down to watch that movie, I would leave going, I still don't really know what Assassin's Creed is about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it, right? Hopefully, they don't do that.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from, and that's an absolutely good point. Like I said, that's one of those things where it's always that hard of who is gonna be your bigger draw and who are you catering more towards, and then it's that balancing act. It is like, oh, we're catering more to the new fans. Are the old fans or the hardcore fans going to be left out? Or are they going to feel anything like that? It's always one of those things. But yeah, there's absolutely stories where they don't need to appeal to the old fans because of the fact that everything's already established enough that they don't need to add in any more inclusive information.
the
But
thing about the VG movies with me, as long as the characters are true to themselves as they are like in the source material, the story could be retold in a way that could be understood for us and the casuals. You know what I'm saying? But just keep the characters the way they should be. I hate when they change the characters, like their traits, the way they act and everything. Like it just throws me off. I'd be like, that character should not be like that. And it happens too, like when we get some of the subs and the dubs with anime, right? Like some of the
I feel
characters
like
are
they
treated
change
a
them
certain
just to
way.
match the script that are working with for that material as well.
yeah,
Because sometimes, like, you look at the story trying to tell, like, it doesn't make sense why they do change them. They hired to write the script, the screenplay, all that stuff. They probably had a script going into as well. It's like, okay, so since this conflicted with my script, let's do some changes to source material as well so it fit with what I'm trying to do. That's probably the way they're going towards it.
yeah, and that's one of those things definitely too. Like I said, when they have to make those changes, sometimes it's for the good, sometimes for the for sometimes it's for the worse, and that actually leads into exactly what we're talking about next. And we're gonna segue on to the next film, Akira, one of the most beloved classic anime films of all time, one of the most definitive for a lot of people, is getting a live action.
It's like where it's all started for me, bro.
Yeah, is getting a live action adaptation. And it's being directed by Taika Waititi. And if you don't know who Taika Waititi is, he was the director who did Thor Ragnarok. And it's recently announced that it's being produced by Leonardo DiCaprio, which is interesting, the kind of funding and talent they're getting behind the film. However, the biggest controversy for this film is how much of the original source material they are changing. Now,
Yeah, it's too much.
for those who aren't aware of the story, is that Akira is about a young boy in a biker gang named Tetsuo, who gets caught up in a government conspiracy to test those who have the ability to use telepathic and telekinetic powers. After he's kidnapped, his friend, the leader of the gang, goes out searching for him, trying to help save him and find out what's going on. Well, in the live action adaptation, they've completely changed the relationship between the main characters.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So instead of them being best friends, growing up in a biker gang.
Listen to this crap, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm already.
Have you guys
upset.
seen?
I'm
Have you
sorry.
guys seen the movie? First off, before he goes into explaining more.
Wait, you mean like the original?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
want to interrupt really quick. It's like one of the most influential anime-based movies ever for me. I
Bro,
remember
so
the first time
right,
seeing
that's what
it and just being
that's what I'm
blown
saying, dude.
away. Like World War Three? Like what?
Yeah,
So
like that's why I say it started it all for me, bro. Like I seen that movie, man, like back in the '90s, bro.
yeah.
Not show my age, but like, yeah, dude, I was just like, damn, this movie's amazing back then. Even though I didn't fully understand it until I got a little bit older when I rewatched it.
Yes.
But I thought it was still badass as shit. Like when I watched it then, bro, originally, like in '90,
like,
I want to say like '92 or something.
like completely agreed. I think I mean I saw it around 2000, so I was like maybe 12 years old, but I held it on a pedestal since then, and then recently bought it on Blu-ray,
Me too.
and then just watched it again, and I'm just like, oh man, got the steel
That
case.
movie's
Maybe you have the same one.
yep. That
Oh,
movie was like
man,
way
I
ahead of
love
its time, bro.
Yo, I mean, I just literally dropped $120 on getting that collector's box set of the original manga. So trust me, I know all about that.
Wow.
Hey, it's a dope box set. But for those who don't know, the original relationship between Tetsuo, the main character, and his best friend Kaneda was the fact that Kaneda was the leader of the biker gang that Tetsuo was a part of. And the fact is that Kaneda was actually looking for Tetsuo after he was kidnapped by the military and the government to do experiments for telepathic beings. Now, in the new live action adaptation, the relationship is no longer that they are best friends, but brothers. Tetsuo is Kaneda's younger brother, and Kaneda is not even the leader of a biker gang. No, he's actually a bartender, and it is no longer taking place in Neo Tokyo. It is now taking place in Neo New York, or yeah, Neo Manhattan actually. Neo Manhattan is where they've changed it. So one, they've completely changed the setting to make sense for a new audience. However, because of the fact that they changed the setting, it takes away a lot of the story. Now, a lot of the government conspiracy and things like that is still going to be contained within the film. However, changing up the relationship has a bigger impact, especially with the fact that now, after Tetsuo has been kidnapped by the military, when Kaneda actually goes looking for him, he actually goes to find the revolutionaries who are trying to fight against the government and the military. And in the original film, he kind of just met up along with them and just like, look, I don't care what y'all do as long as I can save my best friend. But now he's actually looking out for them specifically to join the revolution to take down the military. These are those changes that really affect the story.
So that means the entire cast will now be Americans, right? I'm gonna have a problem with this film if they change one particular, the smallest thing, just because
Bro.
I hold it up to such a high standard.
Yeah.
That brings on a whole mess of other like problems, because not only the cats, but then like the relationships that the gang would initially have had because they were in the gang now becomes different because he's like seeking out help. You know, like they're not gonna be as tight knitted as they were. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more of an emotional change than anything, bro. That shouldn't be taking place.
Yeah, like one of the things I think maybe you guys have deeper knowledge of is the director who directed Thor Ragnarok, right? That's the same director.
Yeah, Taika Waititi.
Can he do a? I was shocked when I first watched Akira. I was like, oh, that's devastating. Like as we got through the film, do you think that the tones that he's done in his prior films can even get close to what Akira was like?
He does have a lot of background with sci-fi films and things like that, which is kind of why they kind of seeked him to fill in the Thor Ragnarok role. So he
Okay.
does have the experience with sci-fi and that kind of stuff. However, when you look at Akira, it's not only sci-fi; it's part cyberpunk and it's also sci-fi for psionic and psychic kind of fiction, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But it also
Feels
goes in.
little sci-fi, more cyberpunk at this point because it's as it is in Neo Tokyo, but it seems like it's more grounded than typical sci-fi
Exactly. So it's more. It is absolutely
itself.
more cyberpunk. But like I said, that's why it's more not your typical science fiction. It's more sci-fi, PSI, because it's more about psychic fiction and that kind of that kind of stuff that rises from that genre when you start bringing a lot of telepathic abilities and stuff like that. So the setting wise and the mood he can kind of feel. It's more of, will the story have the same impact with these kinds of changes?
Coming from the outside, it doesn't even sound like they're trying to write the same story. It just sounds like they're using the name and maybe character likeness. And
Bingo,
other
this
than
guy gets
that,
it.
it's a brand new reboot. It sounds like.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They're just pulling off the name, bro.
Yeah,
They're
it's
Yeah.
just
using the name.
a namesake, I think, but it sounds like a reboot to me.
Yeah, and Snow Bunny in the chat
A
actually
reboot of
brought
a movie that don't need a reboot.
right. But
Right.
Snow Bunny brought something up in the chat. She says it's basically like how they treated Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. Use the name, but has no correlation to any other Final Fantasy. Not even the
Bro,
same universe.
Perfect example, Prey 2016, I believe the game came out from Bethesda. It took the name, but has nothing to do with the original two games that came out with Prey.
Actually, it was one game. The original, the
One game,
sequel
okay, the
got
two got canceled, right?
yeah, the second one got canceled. That's why they had to revamp it all.
Yeah.
But remember with Prey, with the remake that they did in 2016, they well established their own identity with it. Yeah, they used the name.
Yeah.
However, it definitely held up on its own. This one is, you're using something that is so well known and has such a storied history and been like sanctified for almost 2 decades, that no one wanted to even attempt it because of the fact that no one wanted to make a change. And now the people that are coming on saying we're gonna change all this, the immediate reaction to a lot of people is just like, no, 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 no.
So
It's
I have do you think? Okay, here's a good question. If the movie was exactly the same as the original, we would all be super happy, obviously, because we just want to see it in live action.
yeah.
But here's an idea. If the movie's really good, and all they do is use the likeness, and they reboot it, but they reboot it, and the story is really compelling, and visually appealing, and well written, can you still be happy with a movie that's in the same universe using the same characters told in a different way?
If it's pulled off right, yes, because of the fact that if they're able to take the story, if they're able to make it interesting, and you know what, I'm gonna use a story, I'm gonna use a movie series that I do really like, that I feel like did its own thing really well. The Resident Evil films, right? They introduced a brand new character who is now the center with introducing Alice for the films, right? Following Mila Jovovich's character, but they brought enough of the world, explained how it works in that timeline, and still had enough of the original Resident Evil characters show up. You know, we saw Wesker, we saw Chris, we saw Jill, we saw Claire, we saw Leon. All of them made their
Saw
appearances.
Nemesis.
Yeah, we saw Nemesis. All of those.
yeah, but they had a good Resident Evil movie since the second one, and after that, only the animated ones were worth a damn. Those other movies were horrible, bro.
but what
Tell me
else?
they weren't.
But what I'm saying is that even still is that they stayed true to the universe that they built. It made sense, but it was doing its own thing. We were mad about it, but I mean, if you think about the story of Resident Evil, it's all over the place with its own story. Let's be honest about it. But they stayed true to what they were telling. It was compelling for its universe, and they used enough of the original to give you enough context, but did its own thing. Yes, if you look at the animated films that we got out of Resident Evil that tied back into the games, those were compelling as well. But the live action films were well done enough for their own universe using the Resident Evil name. Now, Krypp, you're absolutely right. If they can pull it off well, if they can absolutely do it right, yeah, we would be like, okay, this used the same name, but the story makes sense. It is its own variation of what we know, but it's well presented. But that's the thing. That's always a gamble if they're able to pull that off or not. That's the biggest part. Is it going to be a gamble or not?
I fear we don't. I fear us fans is not gonna like it, and then the normies ain't gonna like it either. So that movie's gonna bomb so goddamn hard, bro.
yeah. If the casual
That's
audience,
what I fear.
yeah, if they
Because I
aren't
mean,
able to capture that
those
casual audience,
those changes aren't for us, bro. They're so they can meet the casual audience, bro. Those exactly what those changes are for. Because just look at the changes. They're trying to Americanize it, bring it to New York and everything like that. That's all for them, man. Like because like that movie can be told the way it should be and be fantastic, bro. I mean, like, everyone can understand what the hell's happening. They don't have to change anything like that, dude. Because that's still, it's not like it's some far off story that people wouldn't understand. Like,
yeah,
what's so hard about understanding a biker gang? I mean, it's a concept that's been done in other movies, just in different type of ways. You know, like
it is. It does have one of those stories that has stood the test of time because of the fact that the way that it was presented and what was going on with it. Because it has a lot of underlying social commentary that still exists now today. So it's not like it's irrelevant. It's not like they need to change anything to make it relevant to today's society or anything like that. That's why this movie has been so held for almost 30 years because of the fact that it still stands the test of time because of the fact that it has a story that was relevant back in the 80s during the height of the Cold War and after everything with World War II and the possibility of World War III happening to now all over again. That is the aspect of this story that should be understood is that it doesn't need to be changed. But he's right. The changes that they are doing aren't for us. It is the absolute
Some of the things
casuals.
that are going to happen. Do you think the film should be rated R?
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
And I just don't
Absolutely,
see
bro.
them. I just don't see them marketing to just people who can see rated R films. So I'm already skeptical.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
I've been
wrong.
skeptical since they announced it with the director they're announcing it with. The only thing I got a little hope with is Leo getting added to it because I mean it's Leonardo DiCaprio for God's sake. He don't really attach himself with anything that's
Yeah.
kind of like I mean if you look at everything he's done, like he picks his parts very well. It's not just I'm gonna just get this for money, So
Yep.
that's where my hope comes from now. And then I mean, the director too. Like you see the vibrant colors and everything from Thor. Like if he can do that same kind of like work with it, it may work just for like the
True.
Neo aspect. He
You're
does know
right.
how to
Riding
work
those light
those
cycles at
visuals.
night.
Yeah,
That would be
exactly. Because I mean, just
crazy
look at how
awesome.
Thor looked, like the colors, the
Yeah.
lighting, and everything like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he can bring that, then just that'll help it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Agreed.
In my opinion, if this movie doesn't get rated R, there's reason to be immediately skeptical.
yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it should be rated R alone for one when Tetsu's first using his telepathic powers when he first gets his link to Akira, but more importantly, specifically for the stadium transformation scene. You cannot do that in a PG-13 film because ask Op when he saw that scene after not listening to me in Soul, he was left jaw dropped that they pulled that off. That cannot be done in a PG-13 film at all.
Which
And
scene again? I stepped away
most of
from
that
the
movie,
movie.
most of that movie can't be done in PG-13.
Yeah,
Like
no,
to be honest.
the stadium transformation scene.
Oh God, no, no, no. Bro, if they do it in PG, it will not look the same. Just because some gelatinous flob is wanking about. That's it, bro. Like it won't be graphic at all.
I
It'll
think
probably
I'm
be
in the
like a basic
minority in
CG
saying that
design
I'm
of
kind of
Mob Monster.
excited for a new adaptation of the story. Part of me kind of likes that idea. Like you could never do the original movie the same way, even anyway. And part of
Just
me doesn't
expand
really
upon
even
it.
want to see it in live action, like that story done,
You
because
know
it's
what, man?
so
That
influential.
that the whole thing about you saying like I mean not to, I mean I just feel like I get what you're saying about that movie being like hard to do, but I mean it's 2019, man. We've seen movies that are being done that we could never
No,
thought
I
be
don't
done.
even
You
think
know what
it's
I'm saying? Like
the difficult nature of it. I just don't think it needs to be done. Right? I don't want to see that movie, the same story, just with live people. I don't even think it'll have as much impact on me. Seeing the
no,
same story. No, I don't think so. There's a reason why that story has done so well for so long in the animation style that it was in. It feels like that piece done with live would make me more disappointed if it was just the same story told in a way that I don't think is going to resonate as well. Versus giving me these characters again in a new way with no expectations. I don't want to expect the same story. I want it to be different. I want you to call back to it. I want you to make me feel like there's parts that I really loved from the previous movie that like now I'm like, oh, that's cool. They were like kind of showing homage to that. But if you tell me the same story just with people that I don't have a personal connection to because I know they're actors from another place, I don't even think it resonates with me. I almost need a new story to be fulfilled with those characters because I don't want you to touch something that's not broken.
I feel they should have expanded upon it instead of just trying to redo the original story. Like they could do a sequel or a prequel maybe to the movie as well.
That would
But
be
like,
cool.
yeah, I would actually be down with
A
a
sequel would
sequel
be
to it
kind
as
of
well.
cool. Like if you extended the story or something like
I
that.
find a friend after you
I
got
just
lost in the
don't
void.
want a story that's just a retelling. I just feel like
Yeah.
it's going to be a worse version of the thing that we all kind of cherish so much.
Complete. I can understand. I can see where you're coming from. That, like I said, Akira for passionate fans of the original is this whole live action film has been controversial to say the least because of the fact that there's been talks about doing this live action for almost 2 decades, since the 90s,
Right.
that this has been going back, and now that they're finally getting the project off the ground, that's great. But it's always gonna be run into those aspects of, are people going to be happy with it or not? So right now, I can definitely see where if they're retelling the story for a brand new time and changing it up, but have enough callback, it could work. But like I said, it's always a gamble. It's one of those things that's going to be a gamble. But I think we've definitely gotten into that one quite a bit. So guys, we're gonna move on to the next one, but definitely good conversation on that because I feel like Akira is one of those ones that's definitely talk aboutable all day if we really wanted to. But for our last topic, before we get into our Japanese developer hopes and dreams, another controversy because everything that's happening right now is a controversy nowadays, and specifically about one of our favorite studios, Atlas, the studio behind the Persona series, the Shin Megami Tensei series, as well as most notably their very well received relationship love puzzle game, Catherine, recently released their remake for a new audience, introducing a new character called Catherine Full Body. Well, the game has run into a bit of controversy thanks to unfortunate online toxic SJW fans, and I say fans of the series in quotation marks because of the fact that it's being called out for its supposed transphobic language between main character Vincent Brooks and his friend Erica Anderson. Now, if you played the original Catherine back on the PS3 and 360, the way that Vincent spoke to Erica was never bad. It was never hateful, it was never spiteful, or anything like that. For those who don't know, Erica Anderson, in this story, it is explained that was actually a transgender because in high school that all the main characters were friends and that they actually knew Erica pre-transition as Eric. And it's later revealed that she's transgender because of certain things that she would say. They would kind of tease her about things, but it was never in a bad way. One of the biggest conversations was that Erica said that she wanted to be a pro women's wrestler, but they wouldn't allow her. And Vincent made a comment saying, I wonder why that is. And Erica said, hey, that's kind of mean. He's just like, well, it's not meant to be that way. The whole conversation was never meant to be spiteful or anything like that between the characters. However, a lot of people take notice now that it's being remade and saying that the language being used is transphobic, and now the localization team is changing it, confirmed by the voice actress who is playing Erica, as well as the fact of that in the credits they call Erica by her original name, which was Eric Anderson, and then in parentheses put the name Erica. But now they want that completely removed and saying that she shouldn't be acknowledged by her dead name as Eric Anderson at all. So Atlas has to comply with this, and shortly after they announced that they would be making these changes in the localization here in the West, a lot of the people who are making a big deal about it said, cool, we did it. We're still not going to buy the game. So this
I was
runs
just
in.
about to say that. I was
Yeah,
just gonna say that they're still not gonna buy the game.
yeah.
They
The,
just,
the,
it's just, fuck. I hate this topic. Go ahead.
the people who make some of these controversies and stuff aren't even the fans who are supporting it, nor are the ones who are even acknowledging it. The way that they handled Erica's story in the original series was not bad at all. It was very realistic. It was understandable. Yes, they still supported her in the same way, but yes, they made some jokes or anything like that. But that's those characters' relationship. You don't know that relationship. You're only interpreting it as you see it. You're being offended on behalf of someone who did not ask you to be offended for. That is the issue with some of these things, and the fact that one, Atlas gave in, but two, even though they made this, the gave in and did this, the people who are complaining about it aren't even the ones who are supporting it. That kind of shows the reality of some of these, these people speaking out in regards to this. The vocal minority is starting to get the amount of power that they should not have. Now, I've already gone at lengths about my thoughts on this topic on Twitter and others, so I want to get everyone else's kind of thoughts, and I want to start out with the guest. So, Krypp, I actually know you do a lot of things and very supportive and very inclusive for having an open community, as it should be. We do the same thing here. So
Totally.
hearing how people kind of abuse this inclusivity to do things like this and demand so much of these developers, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, so like you said, I don't really ask who or what you are when you walk in the door, right? It doesn't bother me in the slightest what you want to portray yourself as or who you want to be. So I don't feel like there's any reason that question should even be asked. So for me, it's one of those things. It seems weird that there seems to be a group of people, and maybe it's not a group of people, but it seems that way, that are always looking for battles to pick when it comes to inclusivity and things like that, right? Like they want to make sure everything is always represented all the time. And the fact of the matter is, not every story, whether it's life, video games, movies, books, anything, no story has all of the boxes checked all the time. And it's weird to me that there's always a conversation that every box needs to always be checked. Like I can live on a street, and on that street, I might be able to check 10 of the 20 proverbial boxes. But no one's screaming at me to say, oh, well, you haven't checked the other 10. And I think life is like that. So I don't understand why our art forms need to be forced into checking all the boxes. I think you should just be able to check whatever box you need to tell whatever story you're telling without having to explain why you didn't or did to anyone else. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely, and that's the way that it is. And we've said here on the show is that we're diverse group of guys on here. We all come from different backgrounds. We all are different ethnicities, different religious beliefs. We've had a lot of our female friends over here. I've had a trans friend on here and stuff like that. We don't care about any of that. It's what we're passionate about. Not everything needs to be perfectly okay. Some of those things, eh, you're right. Not everything can be checked, but that's the reality. And some of the times that aggression is a part of the reality. When you look at a game like, if we really want to point out something, look at a game like Detroit Become Human. One of the biggest things right now. It's social commentary about having AI slaves like that become their own. That was a big thing. If you look at our history here, we're just recreating it. But the thing is, that always happens. But seeing that hateful language and stuff like that, that comes with the territory because that's kind of the world we live in. Not everything is all sunshines and rainbows.
It's just not. It's just not, and I don't understand why they need that fulfillment to feel like we all know that the world isn't that, right? So why do we need our art to represent that?
Yeah,
It's always been confusing to me.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Krypp. Kofii, my man, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
this is a tough question. I try to put myself in a position where I could be offended by some medium, um, while at the same time respecting to my hardest whatever the original developer's vision was. So, for example, I'm a minority. I'm black. If there was a relationship between a character that was non-black, or let's say Caucasian, and a black character, and he said something controversial about him being black in some sort of negative way, and there was a bunch of outrage about it, I would do the same thing that Krypp mentioned. What's the relationship like? Or maybe you mentioned it, Bloody. Um, is it that they have something closer between each other, and that's how the story was written, or is this outright trying to uh, send a message that I would disagree with. Having played Catherine, I'll be honest, I forgot who Erica. I forgot what her gender role was in the game. I think I beat it like within the first 5 days I purchased it. So this is kind of hitting me from left field. Um, you're mentioning about fans not necessarily be the ones who are super vocal is really interesting to me, and I just I don't know. I got a lot of thoughts racing about this one. I just think it, it's frustrating to, I mean, Krypp, you mentioned a lot of great things, like trying to check all the boxes. Eventually, one particular group of people is going to find something that they want to be modernized, I guess is the best way to say it. And that's always going to be the struggle. One thing I've also noticed is games coming out of Japan, whether it's like Atlas or Square Enix, they're really sensitive to when they westernize their games. Something I think of is like God's Eater. Well, in Japan, it's called God Eater. But to
Yeah.
not offend people who might be like in a religious space, they immediately, were very sensitive to that type of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I, I think Japan will always be very aware of what the consensus is for it being offensive. So I just don't see this changing. Um, it's hard because I want Japanese. This is part of why I import games, because sometimes games do change significantly from east to west. That, for example, people who are alcoholics usually in Japanese original writing are transferred to people who like coffee or something else.
Yeah, the whole
On the western
coffee.
side. Um, I try to avoid it, but I know that somewhere you're gonna lose something. So
You said something
it's
really
tough.
telling. You said when I watch things, you were like, I'm black, so when I watch things, if I thought somebody put something in a movie or a show or a storyline in a game that I thought was against the narrative that I thought I would like to align myself with, right? You had said something to that effect,
Right.
that you would have a small problem with it, and I think I think I used to feel that exact same way, right? Like I was a Hispanic dude growing up in a place that wasn't there. I was very poor as I was growing. Long story short, there were these things that kind of offended me as a kid, right? Where I was overweight when I was a child and grew up being like the fat kid that people made fun of. And
Yeah.
regardless, there was some storyline. We'll just say storyline that could have offended me. Much like you said, you're black. Somebody could tell that story, right? That's
Right.
kind of anti-black, and that would offend you, or you would have a problem with it. I'm not sure it would offend you. I don't want to speak for you, but I
Right.
think you understand what I'm getting at. And I used to have those kind of similar subplot lines in my life where I was like, man, it bothers me if people talk bad about fat people or perceived fat people, whatever that means to each individual. And then it would bother me when people speak ill of Mexicans, or they tell a story in a way that has Hispanic people looking or representative in a negative way, or
Stereotypical in most media.
yeah, whatever that is, right? Even if it's stereotypical, or if they just flat out say this is a bad thing to be, or people that were less that had less growing up, whatever that storyline. I'm just using my examples. If people tell that story, it used to offend me, and then I started realizing that like everyone has a story somewhere that's going to offend them, and I started to realize that why am I offended about this one story when there's all of these stories that someone is offended by? We're not all offended by the same story.
Right.
But you don't have to look very far to find one that you could go, wow, that kind of bothers me because it's about me. And it made me, it brought me around full circle to going like, maybe I shouldn't care. Like, if this story somehow explodes and creates a generational gap in understanding, maybe I've made my mistakes and I should have stood up for the right thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many more times than not where you look at something, you're like, that's kind of offensive, it bothers me. And if you were to just be like, no, okay, it's just a story, and go on with your day, it would no one would ever know differently. But I think we hold on to these things that we find kind of sacred in our lives, and we go, I don't agree with that. It bothers me. I need to stand up for it. When really, I just don't think you do. It's just a story, right? And I think we fought every little battle about things that offended us or that we thought were wrong or portrayed the things that we didn't believe in. We would spend all of our days fighting battles.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that's the right way to spend your time.
Exactly.
So I don't understand why other people do that.
I really wish more people came to the conclusion that you came to this. Just that one line. I just chose not to care anymore. Like,
Yeah.
why can no one else be the same way?
Hey, people want to chase that clout. That's what it is. Like you said, some people just want
I
to
think some people are
start.
just self-projecting themselves as well.
Yeah.
When they
That's
see something like,
exactly
oh,
it.
that's offensive to me. Like,
It's
is it
still
getting too close to
them,
home?
and
Is
that's
that
a
why?
problem they
Yeah.
have. It's not a problem with the story. It's a problem that they have inside themselves. And I don't want to speak for everyone, but it seems like it's a problem that they're carrying. This story is now bringing that problem forefront, and they're blaming it on the
Mhm.
story when the problem's not the story. It's the problem. The problem is their own story, right? It's the problem that they have in their own life that is being represented by this.
Exactly that. Because there was something
Want to deal with it.
I heard a while back that made me really think about this, because of the fact that it's true. When you are offended, why are you offended? Are you offended on behalf of the thing you're getting offended about? Or are you being offended because you're uncomfortable with the thoughts that you feel because of what was said? When you look at someone, if you think about, all right, think about comedians, right? They kind of be a little bit offensive, but it's not always a bad thing, especially when some of them have these true stories, right? There was one specific comedian who was talking about his disabled sister. His sister, and kind of how the family would talk with her and joke about her and stuff like that, but it was never spiteful. When he said one joke, a lot of people had that like kind of awkward laugh where just like, ha ha, you probably shouldn't say that. And he's just like, why are you offended about how I talk about my sister? My sister. Did I ask you to be offended for me? No. Did she ask you to be offended? No. So why are you offended? When you are offended, it is because you are uncomfortable because of how you feel and what you're projecting, not what is actually being interpreted, not what's being shown. So you brought up a great point, bringing that up, Krypp, especially understanding your history, your past. That is something very, very unknown today's. And Kofii, you brought up a great point too. That is the unfortunate aspect of the culture in Japan. They're more open about what they do, and especially if you look at Atlas, the way that they've done their games. Look at Shin Megami Tensei, look at the Persona series. They go into a lot of very heavy and realistic storylines with their characters who are always eccentric, but they have these revelations and deep things. Look at Persona 4, specifically one character who always try to act like your usual typical macho man, try to be super hardcore, but when you do his storyline, you find out the reason he acts that way is because he's struggling with his sexuality. He doesn't want to admit that he's gay, but when he does, he feels free. You know, he finally understands it and he changes a lot of his personality. Those are the kind of storylines that they go through. And this isn't the only controversy this year that Atlas got caught up in. There was the same people who made us think about this were complaining about the new character that's being introduced in Persona 5 Royal, the remake and the new addition that they're doing to Persona 5 that's coming out next year. Because of the fact they added a new character called Kasumi, who, if you read her story or paid attention to the trailer where they introduced her, her history is that she's a gymnast, that she had a lot of issues with that and eventually quit gymnastics. When they released her character design for the other, when they actually go into the other world and stuff like that, she's seen as being in a leotard. People were complaining that she was too overtly sexualized because she was in a leotard.
Yes.
Gymnasts are in leotards all the time with tights. It's what they wear. It is how they move. You're complaining about them staying true to her history and her aesthetic. So what did they had to do? They had to give her a longer jacket and give her a skirt or a tutu really that looks so wrong. And yet no one complained about the other character who's in a literal tight leather outfit who's dressed as a dominatrix. It's one of those things that why who are you being offended for and why? They understand the culture over there, and you're right, they're more hyper aware of how the rest of the world is going to react, and it's unfortunate that they have to give in to some of these people to try and appease the greater aspects of people, but the people who are making the complaints aren't even the ones who are actively supporting them. It sucks, man.
Yeah.
No
But
good.
yeah, but I think we've all kind of got out, and I specifically wanted your Kofi's and your Krypp's thoughts on this because me, G, and Op have gone to links on this on multiple shows about
Sure.
how we kind of feel about this. So with that being said, we're gonna hop on over to a lighter topic now that we got all the heavy stuff out of the way. Uh, E3. E3, right? We're all gamers here. We're all nerds. We're all happy. We love to play some video games now and then. And Japan's definitely going to be on show at E3. And as you can see here on the background, we have quite a few of the big names that are going to be there. But specifically, I have a photo that's going to come up right now that was done by my man Kofii here of all the studios that are confirmed to be there, as well as there's going to be others. So as you can see, ArcSys is going to be there, From Software, Level 5 is going to be there, Spike Chunsoft, SNK, Platinum Games, of course Nintendo's going to be on deck, Capcom, Atlas, Square, Sega, Koei Tecmo, and Bandai. So of course you have the big names there, as well as Ryuga Gotoku is going to be there with Sega and Atlas, because that's what they do. But specifically, I believe they're going to be showing off more of Judgment hands-on there because it's 3 weeks before the game's out. Why wouldn't they want anyone to play it? Kind of like what they did with Yakuza Kiwami 2 last year and right before. Yeah, it was Kiwami 2 because I played that when I was there, and that was really fun. So, what are y'all kind of hoping to see? So, the people who are confirmed to have a show so far only is going to be Square Enix. However, Bandai is going to be always do big boosts. We know that they're going to be partnering up with Microsoft like they have been for the past few years and showing off something. What do y'all hope to see from that? So let's kind of start with Bandai, right? What do y'all hope that they show off on stage right there with Microsoft? Because like I said, their growing friendship has been very apparent. So they've been showing off a lot over there. So Kofii, what are you hoping Bandai pulls out and what do they show off? All right, good talk, Kofii.
Boy for a little bit.
Okay, Krypp. Since he's away at the second, what do you hope Bandai comes out swinging with and shows today or at E3?
Honestly, I have the least interest in Bandai. I actually don't. I am unfamiliar with anything that they're releasing. I was super excited for Jump Force, and I think that kind of broke me. And I haven't really. I know that like Sega looks good. I know Capcom and Square Enix both have some exciting stuff for me. Even Nintendo does. But Bandai is the one that I'm like I'm scratching my head. I'm left scratching my head for this one.
Ooh, I know those feelings. Trust me, I have the same kind of feelings with Bandai. So interesting. So if you don't have any expectations from Bandai, what do you hope to see from Sega and Capcom? What are your thoughts on those two? What do you hope that they show off?
So Sega, I think had the new. I think they just talked about the new Team Sonic, which I think is kind of funny. I think it's really interesting. I think that's supposed to be releasing sometime this coming year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Sonic Team Racing.
Yeah. Which I think is funny. We don't have enough kart racing stuff going on right now. I think it's always been something kind of near and dear to people playing video games their entire life, and for me, that kind of stuff is that kind of couch co-op entertainment is stuff that gets me really excited because I feel like we've gone too far away from that.
Definitely. I agree with that. And I actually saw Sonic Team Racing last year at E3. That was really fun. So if you liked Sonic Superstar or All Star Racing, the team racing is actually really fun because of the fact that it's like three teams or four teams of three, and you're kind of working with your team to try and take out the others and try to get all the places. So it is a lot of fun. So that's definitely one of those party games where friendships will be tested. Worse when alcohol is involved. So
Always.
always. What are your hopes from Capcom?
So this one's huge. The Resident Evil 3 remake, right? So it's been rumored. I think I don't know if it's been confirmed or not yet. But
I think it's being made though, bro. Just the success off just off the back of
dude,
Resident Evil 2,
I
bro.
don't
I
see
can't
how
wait for
they
3 in the
couldn't
vein of
make.
2, bro. Like, come on.
How could they not remake 3? I mean, if that's the case, that would be. I mean, Resident Evil 2 remake was phenomenal.
Hell
If they do 3 with a cleaner story and a cleaner back half, because the back half of that game is kind of jumbled a little bit. If they can clean up the back half of that game, oh dude, it is going to be fantastic. That might be top. I would say top 3 uh, things I'm looking forward to from E3 in general this year.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and they would absolutely have to remake that because, like, you are right. The back half of Resident Evil 3, it does get all over the place. But if they're able to kind of recreate that, like how they did with the remake of 2, especially with the RE engine now, with the way that is just beautiful, disgustingly wet gore. Just I love it. It
Oh
would
my gosh.
absolutely be beautiful. Like I told everyone, I loved Resident Evil 2 because it was so disgustingly wet. It just like everything was just super slushy. It was like it
Yep.
sounded great, and just the gore was just beautiful. What they created with that engine, and remaking 3. The reason I think they would do a remake is that out of all the games that they released from the past, 2 and 3 were the only ones that have not been released, even in
No, and Code Veronica. They need to
Code
do
Code
Code Veronica
Code
again,
Veronica
bro.
too, but yeah, they've re-released 1 and they remade 1. Then of course they did 0, and then
Mhm.
they did 4, 5, 6 multiple times, and I think they did one of the other side stories. But Code Veronica 2 and 3 were the only ones that have not been remade or
And it's
remastered.
crazy because those are the ones that need to be like remade because those are to me the gems of that series.
Of
You know,
the
like
series. Four is still a
yeah.
classic too, but yeah, I
4 is too, but 4 is still like it's been well not read but ported so many
remastered.
times that
Yeah,
like
Mhm.
yeah
yeah.
remaster my but those are straight graphical
Ports,
ports, bro.
graphic ports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but 2, 3, and Code Veronica, bro, the gems, bro, that need to be redone and done perfectly like 2, man. Because 2, you can't ask for a better game, man. When you think of Resident Evil 2, they did that game so well because of the way it like touched me when I was younger, and then like replaying and just seeing it the way it is now, I'm just like, oh, I'm just blown the hell away, man. Like
Hey
old
man,
memories came back, and then it also built new stuff for me because like I've played like a lot of horror games like in the past couple of years, but nothing creeped me out the way 2 did. Even though I already played 2, you know, like they did something special with that game, man.
oh dude, it's the sound. It was the sound design in that game. Oh, I remember watching my cousin play 2 when I was younger, and it was
The
great.
sound, and then too, also like the technicality with the zombies, man. Like even like shooting
Yes.
them in the head, like you almost had to blow their damn head off to kill them,
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
waste 13 rounds on them.
I
And
I learned the trick to
I
that
thought
is
that was
literally.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I learned the trick to that is stop killing everything. It's literally just 2, 3 tap them right in the knee, blow out their leg, and then just run. Just
Yeah,
learn.
just go. You
learn.
gotta move.
Yeah, I would
It's the
say
first
that.
game where you didn't just murder everything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
attacked.
and but which made it which made it on top of like I said, technical, man. Like it made it a little bit more difficult to play it because a lot of people are used to and accustomed to these games that are now just like blow everything apart. You
Oh,
know,
dude,
Dude,
just
I
you know how
kill
scary it
everything.
is running out of ammunition with like 4 zombies around you
oh,
when you were like 12? It's the most terrifying thing in the world.
it's even worse, and too, especially now, is like with the way that they remade Mr. X.
Oh
Literally,
yeah.
there was 2 times when I was streaming that game, and I still have some of the clips for that. There's twice where he caught me that I was nearly crying because of the fact that he came out of nowhere and just like
And
snuck up on me hardcore, and then all you hear is
like
stomping
you
around.
mentioned Mr. X, you mentioned Mr. X is perfect for 3 and the way Nemesis would like pursue you, bro. Like
Can you
Nemesis is
imagine?
crazy, bro.
Yeah,
Like I
and
remember this
Nemesis
one
in
time.
New Gen would be the coolest thing ever.
Right. I
dude,
remember
and
one
remember,
time I was playing it and I ran into I thought I was safe, bro. I ran into a save room and I'm about to save it, and then the door opens and he's like, "Dude, stars." I'm like, "How the hell did you get in the save closet? Like, what?" Like, and he just like mauled me in that room, bro. So like, bro, just the memories and just the way that Nemesis played and the way they did Mr. X, bro. Nemesis is like 2 times more deadly than Mr. X, bro. Like, and
Yep.
Nemesis like runs, bro. Like, it's not just like a
yeah,
walk.
And shoots
He
guns
runs.
at you.
yeah.
Yeah, rockets.
Yo, like that's what Mr. X did to me is that like dude doesn't run, but he is a walking wall. And there was literally one time, there's that supply room where you got to get the keys to unlock the lockers and get those extra items. I always thought I was safe in there because Mr. X would occasionally be outside. When I was replaying it, I was like, all right, cool, I got this stuff. I was like, now I just got to get everything loaded up and run right out. Turn around. He's walking through the door, traps me in the goddamn supply room. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Bro,
And
that part in the parking garage, man. I was like, this guy right now in the parking
Oh
garage.
yeah, and you have to like get around the two cars because there's like no room to maneuver. I'm just like, dude, come on now. I was like, stop being a jerk. Or like when you're having to go through the
He
halls to
follows you up
stop.
the damn street.
Yeah, and even worse is when when you're on the roof having to turn out the fire on the helicopter and those tight little corridors and going up and down the stairs and the room. Like it's even worse when you have to go down to the interrogation room. Ugh. It's the worst. I was like, so yes, 3 remake would be great. All right.
You know.
Uh,
And then
Ro-
a hint at Cole Veronica. That'll like make my E3, bro.
all right.
I don't give a shit what else will be showed or played after that. It could be bad from there on, bro, and I'll still be excited.
I feel you there. Krypp, what do you hope to see from Square Enix's side? Anything you want to see from them?
This is the most exciting thing. So we all know I'm a huge superhero fan, right?
Yep.
Yes, I knew you were gonna say that.
Dude, please. So the Avengers Project been teased for a couple years now. I think back in 2017, in January, if I'm not mistaken, was the very first reveal for the Avengers Project. And they just recently released some new pictures on I think it was on their Instagram, talking about their E3 panel on the 10th at 6.
Yes.
And on the sides of those pictures, you see originally there was green and blue, and then the last picture they put where is purple in this gold color, and they're exceptionally resemblant of the Infinity Stones. So I'm really, really hopeful that they're finally going to reveal, at least give something to us about the new Avengers Project. They have been
I want
bringing
to see the engine is running on.
I don't remember I think I actually knew at one point in time the engine, but I do know that it's going to be story based. They've got people in that have done animation from all kinds of amazing games. They've done story based games. They also have massive multiplayer people that are consulting in the game. So yeah, the idea is that the game is going to be this kind of big MMO style game, and maybe even RPG based. So you're building a character, but you're building a character in. So DC has a game kind of like this.
DC Universe Online.
Yeah, DC Universe Online, exactly. This will probably be a more ironed out sought version, or what I'm hoping is you kind of create a character that you're familiar with, right? Thor, Hulk, and you build that character tree in a way that's still unique to each character, but at least there's familiarity and you're not building like this kind of up from the ground, from scratch character where the lore gets lost. But either way, I cannot wait for that game. At this point, it's all speculative for me, but I have been keeping close tabs on this and the fact that they've kind of released what looks to be a unique teaser for the Avengers a project that I couldn't be more excited for. That's the number one thing that I'm looking forward to. I really, really hope it's the Avengers Project.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. I really hope we see
I
some
could
more.
have swore that game got pushed back, or was it a different game?
No.
They got pushed back 2021.
No, it was a different game.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, this
I'm
game
looking.
doesn't have a
I'm with you,
release
bro. I'm
date.
looking forward to that Avengers game.
Or something else.
And I don't want it to look anything like that. I'm not taking a shot at Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 because I'm gonna buy it. I'm day one in it. But
Lovely.
it looked like Marvel Ultimate Alliance almost looks like this Marvel game I play on my phone. Like it does.
Oh,
I'm
are you
sorry,
talking about
does.
Strike Force or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks just like that game, bro. I was like, oh my gosh. Whatever, but I'm still sold just because I love the past too.
Yeah.
But I
Ultimate
want
Alliance is
like
great.
some with the one Square doing. I want something like mad AAA blown out, bro, and just like massively beautiful and like
Spider-Man-esque, right?
yeah,
so here's
dude.
the
But
other
like
thing is they've
even
confirmed
something
they've
more,
actually
like because you got
confirmed
Iron Man,
that it
Thor, and all
shares
those guys.
that universe.
It's in that universe.
I'm almost positive they've confirmed that it's in the universe of the Spider-Man game, or we'll share like in the same fashion, right? In the same like they're right next to each other, and if they wanted to at some point in time, they could link the two universes. But to my knowledge, they are going to share a universe together. That was like the start of this
So let me
entire
ask you
thing.
this. Let me ask you this. Because of Sony's relationship with the whole Spider-Man thing, is Spider-Man going to be in this game? Because how would
So that's the confusion is I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think Sony wants there's a reason why they made an exclusive Spider-Man. They want to make sure that they control that route. They might have a cameo, right? But I highly doubt that he'll be a playable character due to how successful Sony was in their solo appearance.
Well,
I just don't see them giving those rights away.
well, that's the thing though, right? Is that they have the deal for the exclusivity on that, but they don't have the merchandising rights for Spider-Man. So
Oh, no, that's what I was gonna ask too. Because how is Spider-Man able to be done in those like Activision Spider-Man games?
exactly, because of the fact that
The video game, I
Sony,
think the video game rights is something different.
yeah, Sony sold the merchandising rights for Spider-Man a while back. The only thing that they have of Spider-Man is the movie rights still. I was like, but when Marvel approached Insomniac was approached by PlayStation afterwards, and they made a deal to make it exclusive. And Marvel said, okay, cool, whatever y'all gotta do, just make sure it gets done, because that's what they wanted. I was like, but if Marvel doesn't have to go through Sony if they want to use Spider-Man in a video game or anything like that. They can make all the toys and Sony doesn't get nothing. All right, because of the fact that the merchandising rights are back with Marvel and Disney, so they can literally do anything they want with Spider-Man in video games. I was like, but movie-wise, they had to do a deal with Sony. That's where the big confusion about that is.
To my knowledge, Sony still controlled the rights to Spider-Man if you were going to build a story based around the character, because they own the story, right? Like they don't own the merchandising rights, but you can't. To my knowledge, you would not be allowed to, as another gaming studio, unless Sony gave you the impression to build a story, like to tell a backstory about Spider-Man. You can sell the likeness, right? You can use the likeness and you can use the character attributes, but I don't think that they could do a story. So if they were going to go into any depth of the story, I think they would still maybe need Sony to okay something through that.
I don't know. I find that whole thing weird because I don't think Sony would have ever um, let Activision, Beanox, and all those guys do a Spider-Man game, bro.
Yeah.
That's like the real particular case. I don't think so, man. I
Yeah.
don't know.
As far as I know,
don't know, but I
they've
just
What
lost
see it's kinda
Spider-Man game
like-
are you referring to?
the older
Huh?
Spider-Man games. I think
Yeah,
that's
like the
referred-
older ones. Like think
Yeah.
about like the movie ones, and then like Shattered Dimension, Web of Shadows. Those games are all done by like Activision, Beanox.
Yeah, those are all done separate. That, like I said, the thing is, Sony doesn't own the character rights to.
And I don't
to
think Sony
Spider-Man.
would have allowed those games to come out and not be like to their advantage.
It
You know
could
what
be
I'm saying?
different though. Like here's the thing is it's really interesting how much a movie and game can start going, okay, we're not going to let people do that. Like they might have been okay with people building their portfolio of Sony games, or excuse me, Spider-Man games, right? Like let's imagine you're Sony, you don't have any goal to make a Spider-Man game in the near future.
Yeah, I get you. It's like the value, the worth of Spider-Man. I get you.
Those for you because you're still then going to be selling goods via Spider-Man because of those games.
Yeah.
That's a huge possibility. I mean, I don't count anything out. It's just, I mean, I guess probably like the level of Spider-Man's popularity at the particular time. Like now he's like super like even more popular than what he was, and
Exactly.
like he's trending more so now than he was then. You know? So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, definitely. Kofii, you back? No, it doesn't look like he's back. All right. Last one from you, Krypp. What are you hoping that Nintendo shows off?
So maybe not a hope. This was probably in the top 5, but I am pretty excited to see the new Pokemon stuff. The
Yes.
Sword and Shield. I'm really excited. I think that I hope that they're able to capture the animation that they showed off. It looks like a stunning glow up when you look at the playability. I thought it was really cool to see what looked to be like the arena, right? A little bit of like an arena throwback. It just looks really cool. I'm excited. Anything Pokemon always has my attention. I literally bought a DS just to like play it, like a 3DS just to play Pokemon. Is not even kidding. It's the only thing that I play.
Soul Sun or Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun. Ultra Moon?
I have Ultra. I have Ultra, and I have Ultra Sun, and I have Regular Moon.
Ah, okay, nice.
So play the crap out of those. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I mean, like anytime you can take it, something we love and find a way to make it what looks to be even better. Like the
But it's
look
the
when you
Pokemon. It's also like the look of the Pokemon game that we've always wanted for years and years.
yes,
The
dude,
game
this
Pokemon
seems
Stadium should have been. Pokemon Stadium 2 should have been. Pokemon Snap should have been. All those times they've made these efforts of Pokemon on the console. This is what we've always wanted.
yes,
You know
yes.
what I'm
This
saying?
is
We
we're
didn't want
finally
Snap.
able to do it.
We enjoyed those games, but that's not what we wanted. We didn't want
Can you
Snap. We want
imagine a
Stadium.
Pokemon Snap sub game in this game where you fly around and like they showed that? So you're just like you can like go around on a car taking beautiful pictures of Pokemon and like what looks to be like a real kind of open world setting. Oh my gosh.
You know, they could have done that with they could have done that with a 3DS. I mean, that thing had a camera on it. Why not, right?
Oh, you're talking about what is that? You're talking about augmented reality.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like they could
I'm
have done that.
they've thought about it during then. You could take pictures of Pokemon in like quote unquote the real world in that game.
And well, in Pokemon Go, you could do that. Like
Yeah,
currently.
exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could do it on Pokemon Go. I'm talking about like they've built an open world for this game to a degree, right? Like you obviously have it's very path driven. But imagine opening that world up to now you're like first person. You can walk around and in essence play Pokemon Snap, but like in Shield, Sword and Shield, like inside of the game, you can do it. And you have to like catch Pokemon at certain times at night. So remember how Snap was like you were on a path and you kind of just carried that path the whole time?
And Snap, you were like in like a trolley, no? Like
Yeah.
exactly.
You
were
on a
like
little rail.
sightseeing
the entire
at
time.
the damn zoo.
Now
Yeah.
imagine if you can just walk around at any time and it's based on like the time you're playing the game that you can like go into the world and take cool, beautiful pictures of certain like dude, what?
That would be that would be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have finally it looks like to me like they have the capability of doing stuff like that now.
Yeah, definitely they do. All right, interesting. Yeah, definitely. I was like, I do love me some Pokemon. I was like, a Pokemon Attack and Protect is always looking good. It's definitely one of the things that's got me hyped for the Switch, this year. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, cool. Very interesting list. Very, very unique list, if I say so. It's like a lot of all over the place. You got your mature game, and then you got your guilty pleasure. That's just like this is my childhood. I don't care what anyone says game.
Totally, dude. I'd play Pokemon cards with somebody if they were here right now and brought some.
Oh snap! Gotta get some Pokemon cards. Gotta get some Pokemon cards. All right, cool. All right, thanks, Krypp. Let's see. Op, you there? Man,
Oh, what's up?
I was gonna say, what are you hoping to see from E3?
Well, for me, of course, listing off some Japanese devs and whatnot. I just want more support for Xbox with some of the games they're gonna be bringing as well.
Keeping it simple.
That's like, yeah, just keep it real. So that's the biggest thing I want because some of these games I do have interest in as well. Of course, because like some of them are like, of course, not a console. I never got a chance to get into them as well. But like, I do believe they start bringing over some of their older IPs, and once they drop this gen as well, they start catering to that fan base that is on Xbox. I'm pretty sure it can blossom and get bigger and bigger as well.
Definitely.
Support for us. Just stop sidestepping us, giving it to PlayStation, Switch, and PC, like losing a big source of revenue over here. Just support it, see what happens.
Yeah.
If you, I'm pretty sure it ended well for them as well.
To your point, I remember I was just reading about what Team Ninja has been doing for all the other consoles and not for Xbox, right? They've got Marvel Ultimate
Right.
Alliance, and they've got Neo for PlayStation. Why can't we see Ninja Gaiden again on Xbox, just like the original one? That looks so good even today. I want to see that again.
I honestly think that's coming, bro.
Yeah, and you know what?
And I
They've been
agree. It's like
quiet.
it
Honestly,
feels
think it's
so.
coming. I think either Team Ninja's gonna do it or they're probably gonna get. It sounds crazy, but I think maybe they'll get Platinum Games to do it because there's a reason why Platinum Games came out recently and was like, "Oh no, me and Microsoft are all good. We're good." Like even that Scalebound
Want some
debacle.
money?
Like,
That's why.
Good point. That's a
They
good
want that
point.
money back.
that's what I'm saying. So they probably are in bed again to either do a Ninja Gaiden or something along the lines of that, dude. If Team Ninja's not gonna do it, because there is a reason for. I'm telling you, there's a reason for Platinum to come out and be like, "Oh, we feel bad that Microsoft took the blunt of the attack because of Scalebound was our
Yeah.
fault too." Why all of a sudden
Yeah.
take credit for that too now?
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm
But
saying?
Yeah, I
to be-
follow
to be
Hideki
fair-
Kamiya's.
Why? It's 2 years later. No
Yeah.
one gives a crap anymore.
I was
It's
saying-
a dead
True.
game,
Yeah.
and we know it was a bad game. Why come out now? Besides, to be looking good faith with Microsoft now all of a sudden because they're just setting it up so when they announce something, it won't be like, but they have a bad relationship, you know, like
True.
they came out and said it's all good, bro. So it makes it easier to
Could
accept
be
it,
though, like
and that
G going
we
off your
don't look
theory,
at it.
like maybe they did behind the scenes broker a deal between both of them, and guess part of the deal is probably like, hey y'all, you go out and make this public that you're actually part of blame as well for Scalebound.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, that's probably part of it as well for me to make it public that they were at fault too with Scalebound.
Yeah.
PR stuff.
And I will
Yeah.
say
It's
that I
still to make
follow
themselves look
Hideki
better. It's still to
Kamiya's
make themselves look better, though, bro.
account, and he actually apologized. He thought that he should have taken the blame for it. This is way back when the game was first canceled. He just apologized, but that wasn't really publicized. So
That got swallowed up by all the hate.
Yeah, dude.
I know, dude. It was
All that
swarming, bro. It
fake,
was like
all
the
that
laughing
fake
stock
hate.
because everybody's gonna buy an Xbox to play Scalebound. Their
Apparently.
sales are gonna go up from 40,000 to 90 million or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
because of Scalebound. Like, get the hell out of here.
Right.
Biggest little bull I've ever heard.
Whatever.
It was, man. Come on.
That,
Everybody was saying that. Damn, that was the game that was gonna make me buy an Xbox.
I mean, yeah.
Really, that crappy ass looking game.
Yeah.
People
That
were
But
not
you
crappy
knew
surprised.
they
looking
were
game.
lying because
Like,
every time they show off that game, it looked rough. Like every time they showed it off to us.
like I didn't even it's like it's crazy that people looked at the DMC version of Dante and said what they said. This guy looks way fucking cheesier. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, Drew was
Like,
pretty cheesy. And but he was
oh
rocking
my
them. He was
god,
rocking them
bro.
headphones, bro. He was rocking them headphones.
He looks so
Were
like,
they
bro.
beats,
He looks
Heaven?
so
Yeah,
Were they
generic too.
beats?
Like,
yeah, the beats.
Oh,
he looked like a default created player. Like someone you just like when
A
you first go
default.
to create your player. Like he's just a default person. Like you go down and scale down. Like, oh, just take one of these default bases and edit it or something. He looked exactly like that, dude. I was just like, this guy does not look cool at all. He doesn't.
Definitely. But definitely interesting. Kofi, now that you're back, let's
Yeah.
go down the list of what you want to see from who. So starting out, what do you hope to see from Bandai, especially since you know that.
Sorry, guys.
Aw,
This
the
is my kid.
baby.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. I was like, what do you hope to see from Bandai coming from them, especially knowing the fact that they're going to be on the Microsoft stage because that growing friendship with them has become more apparent in the past few years. What do you think they're going to show off now?
Okay, I try to separate what I think they'll show from what I hope for. What I think they'll show is Code Vein. Code Vein is the Demon
It
Souls
kind of
type
disappeared
game
for a
that,
while.
Yeah.
yeah, it got delayed like from
Last
sometime.
year,
It was supposed to be
it
released.
was supposed to come out
Yeah.
October last year, and I played that at E3. Me and G
Yeah.
both played at E3
Oh, for
last
real?
year. Yeah, we were there
Yeah, it was
last year. We
dope,
played
dude.
it.
Holy crap.
It was dope, but I know they've added a better co-op feature, and then they added like a created
Right.
character type thing because they didn't have a created character.
Well, no, they
originally.
had to create a character, but they like in depth went like hardcore into it and
Nah, wasn't it
improved
just like wasn't it like edit the character that they already created for us, not actual created character?
I think they had 2 or 3 models of both male and females, and then that you can kind of customize them a bit with a lot of presets. But I think they're trying to go more in depth with it now.
Yeah, it looks
One
way
of,
better,
one of
too.
the things that seems to be better from the last trailers is the story beats seem to be more impactful. Hopefully, it has a good story, but I'm not counting on it. But if it does, I would be delighted to say the least.
Yeah. So Code Vein is definitely going to be interesting. Now, see, definitely, I think they're going to show that off there. It's definitely going to be there. So I agree with
Yeah.
that. What do you
In
hope that
terms
they
of
show?
what I hope it would make me go crazy at the same time is some sort of Tales game. I am a pretty big Tales fan. I haven't played a good number of them. But if they announce a new Tales game that is launching on Xbox, oh my gosh, it would it would just make me feel good inside. Like, as you know, Bloody, I was rambling about like Japanese devs don't really work with Xbox, and as I just brought up, this is a great step forward if they have something like that. So
I think over the past year and a half or so, we're really starting to see that change. So it's definitely going to be interesting, especially a lot of
It's a lot of thanks to Capcom, dude. With like
Yeah,
the success of Monster Hunter. That's what
Capcom,
really
and then Bandai's definitely been doing a lot more with them, and now we see that we still haven't seen the extent of the Sega meeting with them last year when they went out to Redmond, and seeing how much that fills out there in Japan a lot, especially with the fact that they
true.
just started that studio out there that's meant to work with Japanese devs and solidify deals and stuff like that, as well as offer support and be able to help them with porting it over. I think we're gonna start seeing that change a lot for sure.
Heck yeah.
So what do you hope to see from some of the other big names? So we're gonna start. What do you hope to see from Capcom?
Capcom. What do I hope to see from Capcom? I'll be honest. Iceborne has already got me pretty hyped. So that's.
Right, bro.
Yes, yes. Monster
Oh, you guys
Hunter.
are big Monster Hunter fans?
Oh,
Yeah. Yo.
absolutely. Monster Hunter
Oh
World is
man,
my jam.
dude.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, we can talk about this. I have like 300 hours.
Oh, I have you
Um,
beat. I have you beat there after
are
it
you
launched.
serious?
After it launched on Xbox last year when it came out, I had 500 hours in 3 months.
Yo. Oh my gosh. I'll be honest, I became a parent recently, so it's definitely stunted my time. But I love me some Monster Hunter. I played Monster Hunter back on the PS2 and Freedom Unite on
Yes,
Vita,
Yeah,
not
I
Vita,
played a lot on
PSP.
PS2 for a while.
that's where it's
Um,
at.
We had to do all the scalping, like to the monsters and stuff.
Oh yeah, when you actually had to sit there and take the time to carve them up.
so yeah, anything with Iceborne, any more details on Iceborne has got me hyped. But what would be something that's out of this world? Okay, talking about Dino Crisis, Resident Evil 3
Yes.
remake, or maybe some sort of Resident Evil 8. Any of those would get me pretty high. I love Nemesis. If we just talk about Resident Evil 3 for a second, and we get Jill back,
Yeah,
that's
that's
got me
what
hyped.
Crip. That's
You
what Crip
missed
brought up
you
earlier.
missed
He
our
said,
yeah
yeah,
already.
yeah. He was going off. He wants
Oh,
Resident Evil 3 so badly.
oh my god, my bad. Yeah, I miss so much. But yeah, those three. And to be honest, if we see a Dino Crisis, I'll be shocked. I know that that's like the
Yes.
rumor,
I want a
but
Dino Crisis. Look, I love Resident Evil, but I love dinosaurs, and you give me genetic mutated dinosaurs that like want to like kill me. I'm all for it. Let's do it. I want to run away from a giant T Rex.
Man, I'm all for like seeing older games that we love, but like done now with the
Yeah.
yes.
graphics now, bro. Because like those games were fantastic then, and we thought those graphics were good, but those graphics were shitty. But like they were good
Ocarina
for
of Time.
they were good for their time. I'm not trying to completely shit on. They were good for their time. But
Yep.
like we look back at those games now, you be like, oh my gosh. But like to see them done in the light now, bro, like just Resident Evil 2, bro. That's all we need to see. Like, just seeing that and seeing where it came from, or even when we can go so back, like it's seeing Halo 2 and the way you can Master Chief Collection, how you can like shift it back and forth to see how it used to look to it is now. Like just seeing that, bro, just puts a smile on my face, bro. So like anything that we loved back then that they can redo now will be great. But a thing from Capcom I really want to see, which I probably on my own is the Lost Planet, dude. Like a new Lost Planet.
Wow. Yo,
Yes.
that's a good one.
Hey, that was a perfect game back on the 360 era that was completely forgotten
Bro,
about.
I love Lost Planet 1 and 2, 3 not so much, but 1 and 2. Oh, they're oh my those games, my God, man.
Lost Planet was something else. Do you remember the expansion, the Lost Colonies?
Yep,
Yeah, no one knew about that expansion that you had to get that separate disc for. I was like, I love
yep. A
that.
whole set. I was gonna
Yeah, I
say
don't
that
think
you
I
can
actually
get
heard
a
of that.
whole separate disc, bro. Like, or just wait and buy that like
The
Lost Colony edition that came
yeah,
with
the Lost
everything.
Colonies edition. Yeah, I love that, man. Ah, that's good stuff. Good
And
stuff.
then they've hinted and mentioned about that Dragon's Dogma like online crap, which I'm not too crazy about. I like Dragon's Dogma, but it was just missing so much stuff. So I'd rather them just do like a whole
Second
new
game.
take on Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
it.
they
Do a
keep
sequel.
dragging that one out. They need to do a new one. Sure.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's something about the mechanics. Like you can see where the mechanics were like the precursor to the new Monster Hunter mechanics.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
like the way you jump on the animals and whatnot. Like that's where Monster Hunter, I think, Monster Hunter World got their base from. So I think they should redo Dragon's Dogma, but like beef it up, dude, with the Monster Hunter mechanics now. Like I think it'd be way better.
That's
And
what's
that
up.
new engine they've been pushing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? All right, so now we got what you want from Capcom, right? So what do you hope to see from Square Enix?
Okay. Um, I think I want to start with hopes because even though Final Fantasy hasn't been very impressive for me, I want to see another new Final Fantasy. Um,
Did you not like 15?
I'll be honest, I haven't given it enough time to say if I like it or not. I picked it up, it was fun, the comment was fun. I didn't play it enough, so it's kind of sitting there in the backlog.
I would
I like
definitely.
Um,
it.
I really love that story. Like that group of
really?
Yes, that group of characters is probably my favorite group because of the fact that their relationship felt better and more fleshed out than a lot of others from across the
But you know
games.
what I
Like
think help? You know what I think helped with that? That it was a smaller group of
yeah,
characters.
exactly. Because
Like you
it
know,
was all about Noctis, Ignis, uh, Prom 2, and then of course Gladio. It was all about those guys specifically. Yeah, you had your outside characters. You know, you had Cindy over there at who was working on the car, and of course you had Luna Freya and everything else, and a couple of the other bigger characters. But it focused on that core group of four, and all their interactions felt natural based on who they are. It felt organic.
And then that game had a much bigger like world to it too. I mean, with them doing like the
True.
little side movies and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and the YouTube episodic stuff, like it just had a grounded story, I guess.
And they also
That's
had an
true.
anime
They
too.
kept it as some
But
DLC.
honestly, I didn't care for the game
Yeah,
at
and the
all.
anime was great when they were teleporting with the swords and all that. Oh my gosh! Wait, you're
Yeah.
talking about the one that came out before the game?
Yeah, that was kind of like what was it called? Brotherhood to lead up into the actual game. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Because that gave everyone a little bit more backstory about all the characters, and I love that.
Yeah.
yeah. And, the other game that I kind of know is coming out, but I'm excited. It's kind of two things I hope to see a date for. The S version of Dragon Quest XI, so I can finally play on my Switch, and Octopath Traveler 2. I didn't play the first one, but
Octopath Traveler is so dope, dude. That's a game I really don't tell people I play a lot, but I play that game a lot, man.
yeah, so you played on, and it's coming out on PC like really soon, I think. This one, so I'm trying to
Nice.
figure out if I should get it on my Switch or PC.
It just fits so well with the Switch, bro.
Yeah, it definitely works for the Switch. All right, cool. So that's what you want from Square. All right, what are
Yeah.
you hoping to see from Sega and their subsidiaries?
Let's see. So we already got two games coming out that I'm really excited. I actually already imported Judgment. I haven't had a chance to play it really, but so far it's really fun. And then of course Shenmue is not really Sega anymore. Um, but in August Shenmue 3 is going to be coming out. But what do I want from Sega?
Hey,
Hmm.
I know Shenmue 3 is gonna come to Xbox at some point. I was like,
Ye-
when they announced 3, they did that. They did the 1 and 2 remake or remaster for PlayStation and Xbox. You know they're gonna do 3 later.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like Shenmue 2, I always tell, I don't know if Reggie or Nubs is still in the chat, but I always tell them, um, Microsoft gave life to Shenmue 2 in the States when we thought the Dreamcast was going to be gone.
Yes, they did it with the OG Xbox.
Because
Exactly.
I
I
played the
love
first
OG
Shenmue.
Xbox.
Yeah, I played the first Shenmue on Dreamcast. Absolutely loved it. It was crazy, bro. Like forklifting and doing all the little. That was the first game that I actually played that was really, really like that. It had so many other like mini games in it, like to make your money. You go to the arcade or to like the bars and stuff at night, like, and
Yeah.
then like actually having to go to the dojo, pay for like combat training lessons so you could get better. And the better you got with like the sticks to learn how to do the moves, like you use those moves later in the fights, bro. And it was just that game, dude. It was way ahead of this time, man. Way ahead of this time.
Way
Really
And
ahead
then
of its
was.
time.
the second one actually made me buy another Xbox because the original Xbox I didn't really like the original Xbox. But completely honest,
Oh.
like I was all PlayStation out, dude. PS2 all the way. Let me
Yeah.
tell you this: during this is the story I really like not even told anybody, but like during the first Xbox era, bro, I owned like 4 different Xbox, and I was buying them literally for like an exclusive game. Like the first one I got because of Halo, and then I sold it. I just sold it to a friend at school. Then I bought another one when Chronicles of Riddick came out. Remember that game? Like
Yes,
Yes.
Escape from
the
Butcher
first one.
Bay. Bruh.
Hey, did
The,
you
yeah,
hey
the
did you
first.
play Assault on the Dark Athena when it came out on the 360?
Yeah, yes, I bought the set. But
Yeah.
that Riddick game made me buy another Xbox at that time. Once I beat that, I bought another, sold it again, and I bought another one for Halo 2, and beat it, sold it, and sold it. I remember selling it in a yard sale for $75, bro. And then I ended up buying another one, and I stuck with it after that. But yeah, it was
Okay.
the first Xbox was a love hate relationship with me, bro.
Yeah, I could understand that. I gotta say though, since you brought up Riddick, those Uloks, man, never has there been a more satisfying weapon in existence.
Oh my gosh,
Dang,
right?
I,
good
Even the
point.
power of like going dark in like his like eyes, like
yeah, that.
seeing Riddick and the original Splinter Cell on the Xbox, those are my games, bro. Like once I went back to Xbox, like once I got the original again and went back to it, I haven't like turned away because like at that particular time the original Xbox like it had cool games, but it wasn't like PlayStation 2, bro.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
yeah, no.
You know?
Interesting.
PlayStation 2.
It,
I had a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
it,
I've
bro,
actually had
the
all
thing,
PlayStations. I still do. I was
Yeah,
like, but
it
yeah,
seemed like the original Xbox was more of like their exclusive is what helped them because all the other games
Yes.
like it
it did.
because the original when you go back, the original Xbox had a boatload of freaking exclusives, man, a
Yes, it did.
boatload,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
they're underrated exclusives at that. Like,
And then they
but
also had some strong Japanese games on there too that really helped to solidify their growing. Saying, "Hey, look, we can get anything from anywhere. You really should check this out." And then they kind
Yep.
of
yeah, dude.
and they push it with the the 360, and then good old Donnie D messed that all up.
Yeah, the
Yep.
360 is fantastic, bro.
Definitely, definitely. All right, cool, cool. So, what else are you hoping to kind of see from Sega there, Kofii?
Yeah. What else from Sega? That's a really good question. I'm trying to think of what else. I've got a list of things here, but nothing's jumping out at me. I love their Shining series. I like Shining Resonance, PS3 and
Resonance
PS4.
was great.
Yeah, I like Resonance a lot. Um, what else is really big by Sega that 'cause I don't know. Judgment has already got me so happy.
They're gonna reveal a new console.
So yeah, Sega's coming back, baby. They coming back.
The Dreamcast 2. I'm also a really big fan of Phantasy Star Online 2. They need to do something with that for the US, but
Oh, Fantasy
they're
Star
being
is great.
stubborn.
That's classic right there.
So
All
yeah, I'm
right,
not really
interesting,
sure.
interesting. All right, cool. All right, let's see what else last. What do you hope to see from Nintendo?
So Nintendo, I want to do a dual one for Nintendo and for Platinum Games. But I'll bring up the Platinum Games first. So what I expect to see out of Nintendo is this new game called Town. Town is a game
Yes.
developed by Game Freak that I'll be honest, I don't really know much about it. It seems I don't want to compare it to something that I already know, but you apparently it takes place in only one city or one town, and you are fighting monsters that are trying to invade the city. Um, and to see a talented studio like Game Freak that's been around so long to do a different IP, very excited for that. I think it's long overdue. The latest Famitsu guide showed some new screenshots of gameplay because we haven't seen much details of the game, and apparently it's still set to release this year. Still
Yeah.
set to release this year, but it's like, well, it's already June. June's around the corner, so I think they're
Right.
going to give us a release date at this E3 for
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. I can agree with
Um,
that.
in terms of like what I hope, I don't think we're gonna see it yet. Is a Xenoblade Chronicles anything? I don't know if you're gonna redo X, if you're gonna make it Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I love Monolith Soft, and whatever's left of them from SquareSoft and Xenogears and Xenosaga. So, um, if they have a new Xenoblade game, whoo, I'm hyped. I'm
Definitely.
real hyped.
All right. Dope. Dope. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Cool.
And last thing I'll just throw out there because it's a bit of anomaly from Platinum Games. It's a game that their information was removed from the trailers. It's a new PlayStation 4 exclusive action game, Fantasy. What is it? Fantasy Relink. You guys may have not seen gameplay, but it looks amazing. It's like a four-player co-op action game. Um, Fantasy Relink, I think is what it's called.
Interesting.
And it's based on like the popular gotcha game in Japan.
Interesting.
Um, if you guys have a second, look it up on YouTube. The latest trailer came out in March, but the issue is that there's some sort of like contractual issue where now Platinum Games, who is developing stuff, is no longer associated. So I don't know what happened with that game, but it was supposed to be out this year.
Interesting. All right. Cool. Definitely interesting. Definitely would like to see more of that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, Super G, you want to go down your list real quick?
Um, sure. I mean, I kind of chimed in on everybody else's, so it
Yeah.
kind
Oh
of like
yeah, that's true. You did try. Okay. That's right.
I just,
Op, you still
but
here?
I would say this. I would say this. Bandai Namco, I didn't really chime in on that. I don't really expect anything from them. They kind of like let me down, like the last few years.
Yeah.
From Jump Force, it's just and
Jump
I,
Force.
they have not really like made me happy with. I get happy when I see their stuff, and then it just lets me down. So I don't want to
The
continue to
only
do
thing
that.
that has not been a letdown so far has been Dragon Ball Fighters,
I am looking forward
and
to
that's because
Dragon Ball
Arcsys.
as
Yeah,
well.
Arxis is amazing.
Yeah. You already know my feelings with Project Z. I was like,
Oh
I
yeah,
was about
that's
to say,
right.
I was about to say, you know my feelings in Project Z. No,
I forgot. I totally forgot.
I will still play that shit again.
and that's the thing. It's like I won't even deny. I would probably still play that game, but you already know how I feel about that shit.
I think everybody feels the way you feel, but we're still gonna play it. Just like we feel that way about Dragon Ball. We know the story's crap, but we just continue to watch it, continue to
God
read it.
damn it, you're not wrong.
But I'm also a huge fan of Guilty Gear and the newest one, man. Red
Yes.
2. Oh, that game is so good. It has like some of the best tutorials I've ever played, and the cinematic story that you could watch as an option, I actually enjoy. So I was happy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
definitely.
I mean, with that, I'm looking forward to just that. For I guess from Bandai, and then from Software, I gotta see what their next project is, man. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah. Did we
So
speculate about that on the two things that they're working on?
No.
no,
You want
we
to throw
didn't.
those out real quick?
Um, Really quick, I'll throw it out. One, I'll be honest, I'm not super excited about because I don't watch the show, but apparently it's work with George R. R. Martin and being a Game of Thrones game,
Hey,
working
that's
with
what I
them.
heard. I heard that.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I've never seen an episode. I know some people are, it was divisive the last season or whatever. But that's pretty cool. And then the second thing is like there's not many details, a new open world game that should be multi-platform.
Mm.
Um, People
Hey,
don't think it's Bloodborne
wouldn't it
2.
be cool after seeing them do Sekiro? Wouldn't it be cool to see like Batman Ninja? I'm
Uh,
just throwing that out there. I know it's not gonna
yes.
happen,
Like
Yes.
a
but wouldn't it be
modern,
cool?
interesting.
Wouldn't it be cool? Like I know it's not gonna happen, but it would be cool to see that though.
Yeah.
Dude, done in the style of the old Batman games, but oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
that'd be
dope.
something dope. But from Arcs always get me excited because I love their fighters. I want to see what Platinum Games is doing. Like I said, after what they said with Microsoft, they fixed some kind of relationships. They got something going on. I don't think that was for nothing. Capcom already spoke on about Iceborne, um, Resident Evil. Sega, I just want to see what they're doing. Microsoft talked to them a while ago. Let's see what the fruits of that labor from.
Yep.
Nintendo Switch, Pokemon all day. Pokemon and Pokemon.
T-
uh, that's pretty much it, man.
All right.
I'm,
Interesting.
I'm excited.
All right, cool. Op, you want to throw out your list real quick so I could do mine before we get on out of here? All right, good talk, Op. Good talk. All right, so I'm gonna throw out mine real quick since we've already kind of gone through everything. Definitely gonna be starting with Bandai. Bandai. Everyone knows my love-hate relationship with Bandai, and me and UG feel the same way. It's just like we see something cool coming from them, get hyped, and then sometimes it lets us down. What I hope that they do is that now that we're starting to see more my issue with them, and I say this especially as Xbox gamers, is that they cherry pick what games to get ported over to the Xbox, and the rest
Right.
stay on PlayStation. That's my big issue. Like I would love God Eater on the Xbox. The Dot Hack series, like they recently did the Dot Hack remakes with Recode that had all the first three. Those are really awesome. I hope they announce something else with Dot Hack. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is always good. Maybe we'll see. Maybe they'll talk something about Time Crisis or anything, or maybe they got something new up their sleeve. Who knows what they got coming? But Bandai, definitely gonna see more Code Vein. I definitely think that. Oh, I think Bandai is working with. There is that what we've been talking about for a while is Project Berserk that's being worked on. That I sent you, Kofii. Finally, that I got you the stuff that we found out.
Yeah,
Project.
those screenshots, right?
Yeah, the screenshots from the concept artist over at that's currently there at Playground Games. I was like, that's all from Project Berserk, and we've been saying it looks exactly like concept art from Berserk the anime. So
Dude,
it's
that was.
yeah,
It's not like
Looks
Berserk.
it
That
is,
amazing.
was.
yeah, because that I was about to say that's Griffith under the eclipse, and you could easily see that one of the that sort.
That'll get me on a rant because I hate whenever people say, "Oh, this is our concept art," but it's not similar to this. That reminds me of freaking it's off topic, but that Prometheus movie, how
They
what
were
was it like
saying
the
Scott Ridley.
oh, it's not a yeah, it's not really part of aliens and all that. Like, come on, my guy, like, are you serious right
Yeah.
now?
No, but remember,
Aliens
it's
versus
all, it's
they
all,
do
it's
that.
all.
Like, that
We
would be
know
great.
it has to be something to do with Berserk the anime, and with the fact that it's called Project Berserk and it's coming from them. We know that they got something in the works. So I'm pretty sure that Microsoft and Playground Games got something going on with Bandai. I hope we see more of that potentially. But Bandai, Definitely see Code Vein, but yeah, the only thing that I ever look forward to from them is like Tekken and then Soul Calibur, and then everything else. I have such a love hate relationship with them. Like Ace
Bro,
Combat
Soul
7 is
Calibur
great.
made me dead, man.
Yeah, but Bandai have mixed feelings with them. As for Capcom. Capcom, we all kind of went through it all, but franchises, I definitely think that we're gonna see something come back. I definitely hope that the rumor about Resident Evil 3 remake is true. I hope the Dino Crisis remake is reboot is true. I hope we see maybe a new Steel Battalion. I would love a new Steel
Wow,
Battalion.
going back.
Yeah, I love Steel Battalion. I love Mecha. I love Mecha so much. Anytime I was like Gundam game, what I'd be happy for, but Steel Battalion or Mecha Assault, that's where it's at. Glad that you brought up Lost Planet. Lost Planet was one of my favorite exclusives for the 360. That was underrated. Maybe we'll see something from Darkstalkers. I would love them to bring back Darkstalkers. It's been a while since we've seen anything from there. I know we've talked
Yeah.
at length before. Hopefully, Rival Schools comes back or Power Stone. I know that they recently did Onimusha Warlord, so maybe we'll start seeing more from the Onimusha series. I'm excited for Iceborne from Monster Hunter. I love Monster Hunter World, one of my favorite. Really, if anything, I would like them to bring back. I would love for them to bring back Beautiful Joe, because
Yes.
the Beautiful
Okay.
Joe series was one of my favorite side-scrolling beat 'em ups back on the PS2 era. I was like 1 and 2 were great. I would love them to do that and bring it back because the co-op on that game was fun. Um,
Shikoku.
yeah, for real. Now Sega, I was like, I want them just to announce that they're gonna bring over a lot of their stuff. We've already seen that Sega announced that they want to be a multi-plat studio, that they want to bring those games over to more. So hopefully we'll start seeing them bring over a lot more of their games and port those over to the Xbox, the Switch. I really hope that we see. They already spoke about it, but not a lot of people paid attention except for us. That Ryuga Gotoku, or the studio behind the Yakuza series, said that they would love to bring their series over to Xbox. That they want to bring it over, but Sega announced no plans at that time. But maybe they couldn't say anything until after they made this announcement. Maybe they'll say something at E3. I hope that they do. If they bring over, especially the fact that they're remaking everything in the Dragon Engine that we see with Kiwami, it would be perfect time for them to bring over the Yakuza series. Judgment is looking great. I already got that pre-ordered for my PlayStation because I still support those guys.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
I've
so
already.
good, man.
Yagami already makes me interested because he's an interesting character. So is
Yeah.
Kujuro. I was like his crazy ex Yakuza friend. I was like, I'm already in love with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game.
Saito, right? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
Saito. Saito's my boy. I was like, I love
Yo,
him.
straight up. Oh man, I don't want to ramble, but yeah.
Yeah.
The couple
So
hours I played, it's so good.
So Sega's got some stuff coming. Got some stuff in the works I would love. Atlas, I hope that they announce that they're gonna bring over more to their Xbox. I was like, because they had a lot of support on the 360 era, so them kind of stepping away with the Xbox One has been kind of sad. So I hope that they change and bring that back. Like Catherine Full Body, I would love over. Persona 5, I would love for them to do as well. So hopefully they do more. Um, Platinum Games, I want to see more on Astral Chain. Astral Change looks really good. It's one of the things I'm excited for the Switch. I hope they announce. Maybe they do have something going on with Microsoft. Maybe they did fix that. I hope that they kind of do more. I want to see more on Bayonetta 3 coming from them. Now that you talked about this supposed project that they got with PS4, Kofii, I'll kind of look into that a little bit. But Platinum Games, I've
Yeah, that link's in the description, I mean, in the chat
yeah,
as
so I
well.
definitely gonna check that out. Yeah, I own all the Yakuzas. I own every single one, even Yakuza 6. I got the collector's edition. Every Yakuza game I bought, and I still had the first two back on my PS2 when I got those, and all the PS3 games. I own the entire series. I love those guys. I support them. I want them to come over. I was like, and I was post pictures of that later. Now who else? Hey, Daz! What's up, my man? I didn't know that you're here. Thank you for the sub, bro. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Square, I would definitely. Krypp brought it up, and they absolutely need to. I want to see more on the Avengers Project, especially with the fact that they showed off the way that they put out that teaser trailer years ago, and they put up the line, the Avengers disassemble. So, it's got to be after now with the new art kind of showing off the Infinity Stones. It's got to take place during that story arc. So I kind of want to see what they do with that. Man. And then from Nintendo, I want to see, of course, Pokemon. Got to see more of that. I want to see some more Animal Crossing. I'm a sucker for that. But really, I want to see more Metroid Prime. I want them to announce that they're remaking the trilogy for the Switch. I want them to announce that they're rebringing the Metroid Prime trilogy while they're working on everything for Metroid Prime 4 and all that. Oh, something else I just remembered that I would love to come back from Sega. I want to see a new Jet Set Radio game. I want a new Jet Set Radio. I love
Do
that.
it.
Yes, Jet Set
They
Radio
need
needs
to
to
do
happen.
it.
That right there. That needs to come back. Jet Set Radio was absolutely amazing. And that was an exclusive, right? They brought the original one that was on the Dreamcast that got remade and ported onto to the Xbox Arcade of the 360 era. But remember, the OG Xbox One had the exclusive rights to Jet Set Radio Future, which was the sequel. That needs to come back. I want to see that. I need more Jet Set Radio. So yeah, that's kind of my list right there. Sega's got a lot of stuff I want coming back. Sega and
Yeah.
Capcom. Sega and
Hell of a
Capcom is where
list
it's
right
at.
there.
I know, right? A lot of classics, a lot of oldies. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Nostalgia filled list right there.
Definitely.
Let me ask you a quick question about Avengers stuff. Do you guys like the Switch game coming out?
Oh
Are y'all
yeah,
hyped for that?
yeah. We were talking about that earlier. The
Okay.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Yeah, Black
Yeah.
Order. I'm absolutely looking forward to that.
Cool.
Looking forward to that. I got that
We'll
pre-order.
see. I look forward to it. I just don't know.
Look,
it looks
I don't know
like
either.
it could be disappointing. which
It
is
could,
unfortunate.
it could be. I was like, if they keep true to what made the first two Marvel Ultimate Alliances really good, then I'll enjoy this one. But yeah, I definitely agree that it could go either way with it. But look, I was like, if they just give me anything on honestly, if they just tell me the date that Animal Crossing is coming out and that they're doing a Switch console, I would drop the money right then and there because I'm a sucker for Animal Crossing every time. I play every single one and lose all my life to that game. God damn it! But
I'm an
guys,
Animal Crossing guy.
oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's my guilty pleasure. But to everyone in the chat, I do want to thank you all for sticking around and rocking with us. That is the show. So we do appreciate all of y'all being so active. Shout out to everyone who is here. Nick, you were here. You showed up at the last minute, but thank you. Shout out to Lady Infamous for sharing and coming by. I always appreciate you. Jay Slayer, thank you for being the man in the chat. The Perfect Dark reboot. Yes, I would love Perfect Dark to come back. I hope that something's being worked on with that from Rare. I was like, so that's
Actually
definitely
might
something.
come back this year.
I
It
know. Yeah, exactly. So before we get out of here, I want our guests to sign out. Krypp, thank you so much, my brother, for stopping by. It's greatly appreciated. Tell the people where they can find you at.
Been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me. It was nice to meet all of you guys. Really was. Bloody, thank you. You guys can find me at on Twitter. I am just Krypp, just like the name says, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Krypp as well. We stream 4 times a week. We focus on charity streaming. We stream all kinds of different games and talk about all kinds of cool things as well. So
Go support this man, people. Seriously, support him. I was like, I love what he does. He does a lot. I was like, he deserves every little bit of help.
yeah, if you're part of a charity community, you guys like giving, we do streams 4 times a year. We have our next one on the 8th of June coming up for Dell Children's Hospital. We have a goal
Nice.
of $8,000. We're going to be giving away a PS4, an Xbox. We're giving away all kinds of different game code cards. We're giving away GameStop gift certificates. So we've gotten support from GameStop, and Obsidian Studios is going to be promoting the stream for that day. So a whole little thing. We might have an Outer World sneak peek due to the charity stream. It'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, that sounds hype, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely go. Guys,
Yeah.
go support Krypp. I was like, I said, he's one of the best dudes I know. He does a lot of charity. He loves to give. So go support this man and what he has built over there. He's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, man. I really do appreciate it.
No problem, Krypp. Thank you. I'll have you back on. I promise.
I look forward to it.
All right, now my man Kofii, my brother. Let them know where they can find you, my man.
So y'all can find me at Creative Kofii on Twitter and as Maxwell 3000 on PSN. I'm typically balancing between those two right now, getting into doing more translations for Japanese video games from their Famitsu guides or uh, Dengeki magazines. I don't care where they're from. Hit me up. If you're into language learning, hit me up. I'm basically a person who has self-studied Japanese for 6 years straight using a method that I did not coin called all Japanese all the time, absolute immersion on stuff like that. So now Japanese in general, the language has become one of the most passionate things in my life.
I need to hop
Um,
on that.
yes, absolutely. If people are interested in learning Japanese, I could definitely talk to you about how to get started, how to get to the intermediate level, and we can continue to talk about that. I got to shout out the Vitamin G podcast. We air on Mondays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We are basically a group of representatives for each of the gaming consoles, and we come together to debate on various topics. That is a weekly podcast. Shout out to FC Violent. He is the host. Shout out to Nub's Corner and Zero and Pharaoh, who are all my fellow panel members. And we have a Patreon page as well. So for anybody who becomes a Patreon, we do game giveaways every 3 months or so. I do translations specifically for any Patreon subscribers, anything you know that's coming out of Japan. So definitely really excited to just jump into this gaming podcast life. It's very new for me. But
Yes.
thank you, Bloody. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Kofii. Like I said, my man, and shout out to FC Violent, right? He came to me a while back and asked me to be on the Vitamin G podcast, and that's how I met Kofii. I was like, so he brought out a lot of anime centric topics for the Anime King to come up there, and it was such a blast. I was like, and plus he wanted to go specifically on anime for their debate to get me going, and that was such a fun time. And he was laughing. He's just like, "Yo, this is the first time a guest ever came on and actually won on their first time round." I was like, "Yeah, you can't take me on." I was like, "So
That's true. You're still undefeated.
yeah." I was like, "It was a great show." So definitely go show those guys support. I was like, "There are a lot of great dudes." I was like, I love all of them, Pharaoh, Nubs, and you know those guys, all great. So definitely gonna have to bring them on here more, of course. And now for our panel. You know where you can find us. All of our social media is down below. As I said before, this is going to be our last show for the next few weeks because of the fact that we will be gone, taking next week off as we all get prepped up. Because in 2 weeks, we will be live out there in LA at E3. So you want to make sure you're following us on Twitter. You want to follow me on Instagram. You want to follow us all over. On Mixer, we'll be doing live stuff out there. And of course, check on the channel because we will be doing a lot of interviews and content while we're out there. Me, G, of course, because he is the Cali man himself. He is already out there. And Op will be flying out there as well, so be looking out for that. We'll be live. We'll be doing something short on the 7th when we get out there that Friday, and then we'll be busy throughout the week. So please, guys, you want to make sure you're following us. So everyone, from the bottom of our hearts, if you aren't subscribed, please do. If you are, share this out with all your friends. And to all of our audio listeners, we do thank y'all all for tuning in over on Spotify, where y'all can find us, as well as over on Google Podcasts, as well as on Apple iTunes as well, and everywhere else. So guys, thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, peace out and check you later, guys.